So yeah, this
Hey
is
guys, hi everyone. We're live, and I will be right back. Because Steve Chandler didn't just want insulin; he also would like an ice cream with crushed up Oreos in a sugar cone prior. And I go, "What do you mean prior?" He goes, "I'll have that before my insulin." I go, "No, no, no. You're gonna get your insulin first. Then you'll get your ice cream, or we're all going to be going to the ER." Oh,
yeah, no kidding.
he went, okay. Yeah, he goes, and the last scene, he goes, now make sure you crush up those Oreos good. Oh, because you might choke. Oh. So Jen's going to talk to you guys for 2 minutes while I go downstairs because I do have to get his insulin out and give that to him, and I will be right back. Thank you guys all for being here. Jen's going to say her hellos, and I'll be right back, Jen. Thank you.
Okay. So it's great to see everybody. We decided to collab on this because it's one of those that, man, well, I'm aging myself now, but I mean, most people have heard of it. Probably not my kids, though. I bet you I could ask my kids and they'd be like, what is Helter Skelter? But yeah, it's very interesting to me. And I am surprised because there were so many people that were involved that you never really heard about, that maybe weren't in the Helter Skelter book, but they had some, like, interesting, interesting facts about them. Like, for example, Angela Lansbury's daughter, which I didn't know this, but Angela Lansbury's daughter, Dee Dee Shaw, she was, totally reminds me of Richard Cobb from the show Home Improvement. That's funny. Yeah, that's my hubby. But yeah, Angela Lansbury's daughter got mixed up with the Mansons, and she was able to get her out and get her help and stuff before any of that went down. But it's terrible. I mean, it's terrible for everybody, but to look that up. I hate to assume that. Yeah, he's my honey. 25 years. So we've been together 25 years. Yeah, that's a long time, huh? You know what they say about assumptions, Ed. I tell that to my mom all the time and she gets mad at me. She's like, stop saying that. But I get a kick out of it. Oh, wait, I have to put my glasses on to see the screen. A lot of these girls were really, really pretty, and man, they had so much going for them. And it's amazing to me. This guy was, yeah, he was a smooth talker, that's for sure. Like I was telling Rose, like some of the characters that are in here, I didn't even know, who they were. We were going back and looking at them, and there was like a 14-year-old who, like, they lived on there was a 14-year-old who got involved with Manson. His family lived there, or they let them stay there on this hog farm, where they had a bunch of things going on with, like, they did all the cooking for Woodstock. They had a bunch of famous names. That was pretty interesting too, and I thought, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, 14. He obviously had some type of way about him that, I don't know. It's oh, I know, so many. I actually, that makes me want ice cream so bad. Because she talked about, breaking it up, and I wish she can come over and serve me ice cream anytime. I am cool with that. Ooh, black raspberry. You know what? You know what? God, my favorites are pistachio and spumani. It's, I know, probably like nobody hears about it. Look, Thomas Oliver thinks I'm beautiful, sweet Rosie. I'm not beautiful, sweet Rosie. But what we were going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to talk about, oh, you freaked out. Spumani and pistachio. I know, it's the craziest thing, right? Seriously. I don't even know how I came up with those, but that's, yeah. Yeah, and spumani was always the one that they would give you, like, I don't know. When I was little and we'd go to we'd go to a restaurant and they'd give you, like, spumani for dessert, and I'd be like, hey, do you not want their spumani? I'll take it. Um, yes, there is green ice cream that's mint, but pistachio is, I just, like, I love everything pistachio. My mom every year used to make this pistachio cake that she got out of the, like, 19, I don't know, 73 Good Housekeeping, and it was like a Jello recipe. And I'm telling you, it is the best cake I've ever had in my life. And you put, like, yeah, I'm a big pistachio nut. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Edward. That's sweet of you. The thing that got me about Manson more than anything, it was the girl who had lived on the pig farm or on the hog farm was Diane Elizabeth, and they called her Snake. Lake was her last name, and she was born February 1953. She lived with her parents at the infamous hog farm, where the Lake family met the Mansons and several women. And early in '68, Diane's parents approved her decision to join Manson and his family just before her 15th birthday. It's, I can't even imagine. Um, and she suffered, I guess, a lot of mental cruelty and physical abuse at the hands of Charlie. And it was like, I mean, her parents just basically gave her, I mean, they just gave her away to him. It was just, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Hey, John McSmith, we were hoping you'd be here. You are our Manson guru. I think maybe I saw that, Ed, where where, I mean, is that the one where he was like sitting on the table and then he was off the table and then he was kind of jumping around? He had some, yeah, he had some definite issues. But I will say the one thing about him, Charlie Dowser. Um, yeah, I know you know so much about this. Um, his childhood was tragic, and it just really, I mean, I'm not trying to excuse his behavior. It's just, I mean, he didn't have a chance from the word go. I know, right? I know. Is that when he said that with Diane? Yeah. I remember hearing him say that, and I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe he doesn't to ugly women, but who knows? Maybe there's some good looking guys in there for him. So what we are going to do is, first off, we're going to talk about, just for a second, we're just, because these, not the book, not the book Helter Skelter, but the one um, that I have, that I kind of looked into, like the Manson family, it just goes over just briefly, like all of their names. So we can kind of like start with, this is who they are. It just goes one right after the other. So, exactly like who was involved and what they're doing. I wrote down what they were doing now. If they were dead or whatever. We know Tex Watkins. He's still, he's still in prison, and from what I understand from him, what I've read about him is he's got some type of ministry going or whatever. Who knows? Supposedly found jailhouse religion. Who knows? And this was, and then they had, man, and Rose and I were talking about this, man. Mary Teresa, they called her Mother Mary Bruner. She was an educated librarian. And it was like, it was so shocking because, it was so shocking. I couldn't believe her. Like a lot of these people's upbringing, and tell me if I'm right about this, John McSpice, but from what I see, a lot of people's upbringing was very, they came from conservative families. Yeah, and she had a baby by him, or allegedly by him. Isn't that right, John? And it was the state took her baby. Oh, I know, right? Like, how does this even happen? I think back then, because it was so out. Well, I don't even know how the Valdo thing happened this day and age, but back then, we didn't have the technology and the cell phones and this, that, and the other, so they could kind of hang out on Ranch, and it was nobody was kind of paying attention to them. They weren't on the radar, and so that's how they were able to kind of keep their little cult thing going on for as long as they did. He could have, for as many people as that followed him, Ed. I have no doubts that you're right about that. I mean, he definitely could have. He definitely could have made money being some type of cult leader, motivational speaker. He dabbled in Scientology too, from what I was understanding. John can probably make sure that I'm correct on that one too. But there was some Scientology around that, which I kind of thought, Charlie wasn't clear, but any stretch of the imagination, but he definitely, like you said, he was not stupid any, by any stretch of the imagination. They said he had an above IQ. I think it was like 109, maybe something like 120. They had a total of, I'm just kind of going to look at just kind of go over this here while Rose is doing that. You had, there were 10 people, 10 murders. Gary Hinman, he was the 34-year-old musician and chemist. He was a friend of the Manson family, but they ended up turning on him and killing him. Stephen Parent, he was an 18-year-old high school graduate who encountered the killers as they approached the Tate property. That was tragic, just terrible, wrong place, wrong time. I mean, the whole thing was tragic. But definitely, yeah, wrong place, wrong time. Jay Sebring, he was the stylist that was engaged to Sharon Tate before Polanski, and they remained close friends. Abigail Folger, obviously Folger, we all know the Folger coffee. Wojciech Frykowski, he was a Polish-born friend of Polanski's, a screenwriter and a financial donor for Roman's films. He was aged 32. And then there was Sharon Tate. And then they named the baby. Back then, they didn't have a statute for the baby, but they named the baby Paul Tate Polanski. And he did die in utero, so I know that that's a rumor that's out there that he maybe did not die in utero, but he did. And then there was Lena LaBianca, Rosemary LaBianca, Donald Shea. He was the Spawn ranch hand who became suspicious of Manson and the family in the summer of '69. And several male family members stabbed Shea to death and buried him in a shallow grave. He was only 35 years old. Am I echoing? I'll have to ask Rose if I'm echoing. Am I echoing? Darn it, I don't have another YouTube open. Or another YouTube open. Okay. So, I will go on to, these are the people that were involved in the crimes.
I'm back.
And this just kind of gives, okay.
Can anybody hear me? I'm back.
I can hear you. I was just going.
Kevin, I'm sorry. I had about 72 things I was carrying up the steps, and then I put my phone down just now, and it's like, here's Rose. What did I do? I timed out Kevin. I timed him out for 38 seconds, and I'm like, no, I didn't. But I'm like, what did he say that? Because it's got to be funny. And it's like, he said something like, kind of goes with Mrs. Vallow, how this can go downhill. Yeah, Kevin. I had no reason to do that. I'm sorry. Don't be mad. Don't be mad at me.
If there's a crazy cult that compares to the Mansons, we're looking into preparing these people.
Oh my God, I know. I'm just getting myself situated because my dad, he wanted ice cream. Wait, let me make sure I am out of everything. I hear an echo, but
I did too, and I don't have anything else on. Let me make sure.
Neither do I, so that's weird. Let me hang on. Let me what the heck could that be? Okay, no.
I'm gonna sign it.
Not that. Any better? No.
I don't.
Jen, hang on. I'm going to just drop out and come right back in.
Okay. Roses, yeah.
Okay. Any better? No.
I don't hear an echo. It's not.
I don't know. Guys, is anything better? No better, Rose. What the hell? It's Manson. It's Manson. He's a little mad today. Let me do it again.
Am I echoing?
No, you're not.
Oh, okay.
Let me look and see on these settings.
John said there's just a faint echo. I can live with it, but I'm not the only one here, so.
Okay, any better?
I don't hear it.
Okay, I'm going to mute and unmute.
Do it. You muted.
How are we now?
I'm good.
I don't think I hear one, but just I don't want the chat. If the chat even hears the faintest, let me know.
Okay. Let us know if you hear.
Oh, sounds good, John.
So,
okay, thank you, John, because
okay,
I don't know what that possibly could have been.
Awesome.
Sometimes if you put my computer on too loud, it does it. So that could be it. Or my dad could be downstairs with the TV on about 95 volume, so we might have an echo. Yeah. So I got him situated. Of course, crush the Oreos, crush them small. Oh, a little bit smaller. Oh God. Okay. And I buy those stupid Dixie cups for dogs. I don't know if anybody's ever bought them. The ones you can buy for your dogs.
No.
Well, yeah, no. My dogs look at them like, yeah, you eat that, right? So I put it out for them just for the hell of it. My father looks at me now for how confused he is and how bad things have gotten with him. He looks at me dead serious as possible. He goes, they prefer sherbet. They prefer sherbet. I go, so do I. So do I. But I'm not getting sherbet tonight, and neither are they. He goes, oh, those are horrible things. For who comes up with that? Who taste tests those dog ice creams? I said, well, somebody that's obviously making millions. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, these dogs have they have the taste buds of basically like a restaurant connoisseur. I don't give them that garbage. I go, Dad, you give them Dollar Tree hot dogs every morning. Who are you kidding? He goes, I'm just saying for a snack. Next time, just remember they prefer sherbet. As I'm walking away, I'm like, oh God, I prefer to stick my head in the oven right now, but I'm not doing that. God, he's so
no lighting. No lighting anything on fire, Rose. We're not allowed to do that.
Oh my God, I know. Right in, it's going. Hi guys, hi Johnny. Johnny, the stuff I read today. I feel like I'm not the family, but I feel like I should be. Hi, cool. Oh, good, cool. I sent a bunch of emails. Ed, Kevin, I'm so sorry. Nothing you said about Lori Vallow would make me put you in timeout. I had a bunch of stuff in my hands, and I timed you out for 300 seconds, so maybe you could have got sherbet because you said sherbet's good there. Hi, Milo, my love. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anybody. Oh my God, we got all of them here. I kind of send emails late. I haven't seen Utter. Hi Tom. Hi babe. Chocolate marshmallow. You like? I'm not a chocolate marshmallow.
Yeah.
Black raspberries, delicious.
I haven't seen Utter. I can't talk.
Utter
I haven't
hasn't
seen
been
Utter.
around. I just hope she's okay. Downtown. Hi
Yeah.
baby. Hi Kitty. Please like it. Aw, thank you. Thanks, sweetie. I haven't seen Utter. I hope she's okay. I sent her an email. I sent Joan. I haven't seen them. Jody. There hasn't been a lot of lives lately, really, too. So maybe people are chilling. Everybody's probably real sick of, what we did with all that other stuff. So I thought like tonight was a good night to get into something very interesting, and
I don't see, for some reason, I don't see Downtown.
Downtown was here. She said she had to step. I saw that because she said I had to step out. I'll be back. I said no problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go over, because I was just telling them about, like, I was just talking about the the 10 people that they killed, and then I have the names here of everybody who was involved.
Good.
Go through those names.
I'll do mine first, because then when you do yours, I'm going to go back downstairs to make sure that no dogs were given sherbet. Sorry, don't laugh, because you find in the morning like little bowls of stuff in the. I'm like, who left these bowls? These are my good bowls. He'll look at the dogs like, oh, don't say anything. Oh my God. And they can't see. They need to be groomed so bad. So literally, I put the food in front of little Gus, and he's barking, crying like, where's my food? I had to move I put his stupid hair in a bobby pin, and then he saw it. That's when you know you're not a good pet owner. But I haven't been able to leave my dad alone. Yeah, he looked in, he was always like, oh my God, there is light. I'm not blind. Yeah, they both can't. They can't see. Let's see.
Oh, that's great.
Sherbet's the best. I love sherbet. I would have had it if I had more time, but I didn't. You got a Mounds bar? I made. Oh my God, guys! If anybody, I don't know. I love pasta salad, but this is a new take on it. And I don't know if anybody's ever made it before. But Tom told me to make it, and I made it, and woo! So you get like the little elbow macaroni, right? Boil that, and then you dice up. You dice up small. You could do whatever you want. I did red peppers, green, orange, red onion, some scallions, and cucumbers, and just dice it up real small. Put that in after you boil your pasta, and then a whole salt, pepper, and a whole bottle of Ken's ranch dressing. Oh my God. You cannot believe how delicious it is. It's like, oh, Jen dropped. Jen's going to make. Jen, I didn't mean for you to make it now. Come back. It's delicious, though. So I grabbed a bowl of that. So I'm not having sherbet. I'm having some pasta because it's delicious. Wait a minute. Who's having a Mounds bar? I love Mounds bars. Oh, John is. Sometimes you feel like and not. I can't. Cool. It's so good to see you. We all love that, Kevin.
Oh, no. Okay. Did you go blank for a minute?
Pasta salad. Don't go make the pasta salad yet. Really
my husband be up eating it all night.
Really good. It's like, I don't know. I wasn't sure with the whole ranch thing. I like ranch dressing, but I'm like, we'll see. It's so good. I am addicted.
Did you use the Hidden Valley ranch, or did you make
this in? He got a whole bottle of ranch, and it's like a pound of the elbow macaroni. Yeah, wow, it's fantastic. Ken's, that's my only dressing. Like I did last week. We did like a different pasta salad with the bow ties. We did a whole bottle of the Italian. They have like that sweet onion dress. No matter what Ken's dressing you get, it's just so good. But man, I've never been anywhere even where I've had this type of pasta salad. And he lived in Florida for years after the Marines. So I don't know if maybe somebody there, maybe that's somebody from the Marines, or he picked up from something, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna be hooked. Let those damn dogs eat their non-real.
As a Floridian, I can tell you that I suck at cooking, so I probably wouldn't have heard about it even if it was a staple here.
It is. What is?
I said I'm in Florida
Uh-huh.
and I suck at cooking. Like, I mean, I'm like notoriously bad at cooking.
Yeah.
I just am not good. So even if it was like a staple here that they ate, I probably wouldn't know it.
Oh my God, it's so good. Like, and it goes really fast. In fact, yesterday my dad's like, "Do we have any more of that other of the pasta salad?" And I was like, "God, gotta be such a pan." Yeah, yes. I go, "Oh, do you want more?" Yeah, I didn't think you were hungry. It's such a big trying to talk him out of it. Such a big dinner. He's like, "Yeah, I'm really craving it." I said, "I have ice cream." He's like, "No, I'd rather the pasta salad. Tonight you want the pasta salad. Tomorrow you'll want the ice cream." Okay. What Kevin said, "Oh, I didn't know Ken's was regional. I thought that was a PE thing." Yeah, it's all over. It is I mean, it's definitely in our area, that's for sure. Oh, hang on, Jen, are you back, Jen?
Yeah, I don't know.
Your face has got you're faceless.
Oh, I'm faceless.
Faceless. What the hell?
Oh, last time it took away my picture completely, and Ed was like, "Do you have a picture?" So then I put my picture of me and my Velcro rollers, and nobody
Jesus.
appreciated it.
Yeah, I was having trouble today with the stupid YouTube and the stream and AdSense, like for monetization. I have memberships and all that. I'll put it into the community tab, but they make it really hard so that at the end, then it's like, forget it. I don't care if I get paid the 27 cents a show or get memberships, because they make it like, I swear, hard so that you don't want to do it. Then they send you secret code numbers. They're like, "Oh, you'll get this in 6 to 8 weeks." I mean, I got it in about 2, but it came from Google. My father goes, "Ooh, a big check, I bet." I'm like, "Ooh, no." No, a couple of
like,
numbers. No, a couple of numbers to put in that so that I don't get big. No. He goes, "How much you think you'll get?" I go, "You don't, Dad. You don't. I'm a nobody. I'm not. We're not. I'm not. No one's retiring other than you. We're all, yeah. I'm not an influencer.
You're the only one.
Stop telling people that the neighbor's like, "Oh, your dad said you're big on YouTube." No, I'm not. Oh my God, I'm big on YouTube. And this was last week. I'm like, I have about 1,800, 1860 subscribers. He goes, "Geez, that's more people than I know." I go, that's still nothing in the YouTube world. Yeah, my father's not screw the fact that my daughter's an RN. She is big on YouTube.
She is big on YouTube.
And I couldn't be prouder. Oh, dear Lord above.
Whenever I say, "Oh, true crime's my hobby,"
I know. I know. But I do love it. I mean,
I know, me too. I'm like, look, yeah, I could learn how. I could bury you somewhere, and they'd never find you. I mean, no, I
wouldn't. We definitely are we're a different breed, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
What it is.
And I think I told you how I got started. Well, I got started because the Eddie Lee Sexton case.
Oh, yeah.
I told you I grew up with the Sexton.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know I think mine started with the Smurls, and that wasn't really true crime. That was paranormal, but you kind of get involved then. And then I think for the world, that whole freaking OJ thing, woof. The OJ put me over. Then I was hooked. Uh-oh. Oh, no, Jen. Next time, what Downtown said, well, next time ice cream is on me. I'm on TikTok payroll. That's right. Downtown. Yeah, you have to call me because I want to talk to you about the TikTok. My dad's been it hasn't been good, but yeah, I want to hear about it. That's fantastic, though. I'm so proud of you. Oh, geez, wow, coolest. The storm took out my internet for a bit, so we'll see how long. Yeah, I know. A couple people, too, were texting me before. They're like, I have no Wi-Fi. I'll try. I don't even know what part of the country they're in, but I guess different spots are getting hit. I don't know if it's rain, winds, whatever. My son is right now working this summer in Indianapolis. And I know when he calls and he's got a weird voice, something's wrong. Well, he called yesterday to let me know he was attacked by a German Shepherd at one of the houses. So first I got out my Xanax and I'm like, explain it. And then I'm like, are you in one piece? Like, yeah. Are you bleeding? What do we need to do? And he's like, well, no, it just ripped my leg. I'm like, the German Shepherd just ripped. He goes, I mean, it ripped my pants. I said, okay, so you went to a house. Tell me you didn't walk in their house. He said, I didn't walk in their house. I knocked on the door, no answer. And I heard somebody saying like they were around back or whatever. He said, so I walked around the sidewalk. I didn't even walk on their yard. And as soon as I made the corner, he said, I saw a German Shepherd who had a toy in its mouth, like dropped the toy because he saw me like, oh yeah, and lunged at him and grabbed onto his leg, wouldn't let it go. And he said, when I felt him then rip my pants, I thought, I'm dead. I said, so like, I'd be screaming. I don't know. He goes, I go, so what'd you do? He goes, so I used my other foot and I kicked him in the head. I'm like, you did? I go, you kicked him in the head. He passed. Did the dog like keel over? He goes, no, the stupid thing picked up his toy and the master then saw him and like came and got him. But I said, and what? I said, like, was the dog roaming? He said, the guy said to me, oh, did you come in my house? He goes, dude, there's no one in your house. I heard you around back. So I came around back and walked on your sidewalk. He said, I didn't even walk on your yard, your property. No. He goes, the guy goes, I don't know if he was trying to get over. He goes, oh, well, geez, that's weird. We have like the electric fence. He goes, and I'm surprised he would leave. And my son is smart enough. He said to him, well, he's not wearing his collar, so maybe you forgot to put it on him. And then I go, and then when he goes, well, that was the end we saw. What the hell? Oh my God, it's such a stupid name too. Cuddies, not even Cuddles, Cuddies. I go, Cuddies, the German Shepherd. He goes, yeah, I didn't see him for the rest of the excursion. I said, and why? He said, well, the neighbor was a nurse. She came over, washed it up, put peroxide, wrapped it up. I go, wait a minute. You told me it just cut through your pants. Do you have an area on your leg where maybe there's a little bit of blood coming out, drainage? No. I said, okay, then I need to know what the fuck they're wrapping. What are we wrapping? If you don't have a wound, what are we wrapping? He goes, well, it's like a little bruised. I said, oh my God, it's okay. Take a picture. He goes, it's wrapped. I said, I don't care. Unwrap the stupid thing. If you don't have a cut or anything on it, it doesn't need to be wrapped. I want to see it. So it just, it looked, right, like some kind of trauma, but, no, it didn't go through. I said, so what did they say? He's like, well, they said like, oh my God, we're so sorry. He goes, I got the contract. I said, I hope so. He goes, yeah, they bought the most expensive pesticide contract that I sell. I'm like, oh, good. What else?
Good.
Well, they told me they pay for any hospital bills if by some chance, I end up like with the, not feeling well. I said, yeah, fever, chills, a rash, anything. I said, you go right to the ER. I said, and what else? He goes, so I just signed a paper. They said like, just so they wouldn't sue them. I signed a paper. What? I go, you signed what kind of a paper? Did you get a yellow Post-it note? He goes, just a piece of paper. And just a piece of paper. And I just put on it, that I wouldn't, whatever happens, they'll take care of hospital bills and I won't sue them. I said, okay, that's not legal. And you could just say you're delirious because you were just bit by a German Shepherd. And next time you get attacked
you were terrified
by an animal, you call your mother, because you don't ever sign anything. I said, not that that could ever hold up in a court of law, but I scared the shit out of him. I'm like, I'm a wound nurse, Nico. A month from now, I'm terrible. You could end up with no limb. What? You know him. What? Oh, I got to sit down. Oh, God, I feel like I'm going to faint. I go, well, if you didn't faint from being attacked by the German Shepherd canine, you'll be fine. Don't sign.
You're probably going to be okay. Yeah, you're probably going to be okay.
Anybody, you're not going to sue them. You didn't walk on the property. They didn't have the collar on them. And it could have really been bad. He goes, they were just so nice to me. I said, I'm surprised I didn't invite you for dinner.
Right.
They're nice. Their dog attacked you. He goes, I don't think he was real friendly. He goes, I don't think he was real friendly. I go, why? He goes, so I could hear him in the house then, and it sounded like he was like headbutting the window.
Trying to get back out at me.
I go trying to get at your skinny legs. He goes, I don't know. I don't know what it was. The one guy that he goes, and it wasn't the owner. He goes, I don't know if it was like the lady, the nurse, his husband, but she was just saying, oh, you know, with this heat, these, you know, the pets, it's hard on them. I go, let them know that your mother's nuts. And I've been reading up on Indianapolis, and right now they're going through a real problem with dogs. Literally, a woman was mauled to death. She was dog sitting, and the dog mauled her to death. She's dead. I said that these people, there are wild dogs in Indianapolis that they don't know how to control. Like, it's a big issue. He goes, wow.
That's crazy.
Goddamn black pepper spray. Where is it? He goes, it's in the car. I said, well, that's not where it belongs.
Exactly. That's not exactly where you want your pepper spray there if you need it.
I said, I bought you that to carry with you. You don't have to, like, when they greet you at the door, shake the hand and have your pepper spray in your hand, but put it on your keychain. That's what it's for. Oh, God. He goes, oh,
exactly.
Let me go. One of the owners is calling me because there's, you know, he's on trying to become a partner, and there's the other. I go, well, what are they going to say? He goes, well, they just want to make sure I'm all right. Yeah, I said, they want to make sure you're all right so you can get back to the grind. They don't.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh,
no kidding, right?
He said dog. I was like, oh, my God, you are in Indianapolis. I just read it. I couldn't believe it. Normally, like the past 2 summers he's been there, he sends me every day, like, oh, they're all older people, the cutest poodle, shih tzus, like, adorable. Yeah, nope. No, he goes, oh, Mom, this was one like you'd see in the backseat of a cop car. Oh, good. Oh, good. Good. And I'm so happy that he was headbutting the window. Because I thought that was weird. He goes, the owners were like ignoring it like it wasn't happening. I'm like, they were trying to ignore the fact that you were even happening. What the hell do you think?
Oh, yeah. My niece got bit by a dog. Mm-hmm. Only it was her grandparents' dog. It was my sister-in-law's mom and dad's dog.
Yeah.
They sued. They sued the homeowners insurance and got like $60,000 out of it. I was like,
oh yeah.
And she only had like 5 stitches. I was like, what? How did this even trans?
Yeah.
I was like, how did this transpire? And if my kid got bit at my parents' house, I don't know that the first thing I'm going to think of is going to be like, hey, we're suing your insurance company. Right.
I love John. I like it. John's comment was kick to the head. Excellent. I go, yeah, kick to. He goes, listen, I had one good leg on me. He goes, I just lifted it up and I kicked that goddamn dog because he wouldn't let go. He goes, so I gave him a good old kick in the head, and he took, but the stupid thing, he goes, he still took the stupid toy, like a stupid squeaky toy, and he ran off. I'm like, well, at least you got him, you know, off you. He said at the same time, like, you know, the owner was calling him. He's like, but, and then I look, And this company is like real big. Like oh my God, the clothes they send, because he's like a manager. I'm talking, I don't know if anybody knows the name brand Supreme. It's like it's a fortune, these clothes. He's driven me nuts about his whole life wearing Supreme clothes. They like his dress pants from work are Supreme. He goes, here, my newest pair of Supremes. I go, where did he buy? He goes, on my calf. I'm like, oh God, that's the most tender spot that you can get bit by a dog and get a nasty infection. And he's like, yeah, thank God that, it just didn't. I'm like, I just couldn't believe that. I said, okay, no more for the day, please. Okay. Yeah. I said, that's the first time that happened. I said, of course it is. If that happened your first year, you'd be calling me like, I'm coming home.
I'm coming home. There's wild dogs here, and I got to get the hell out.
Right. Yeah. Like, and these are normally nice. I don't forget. It's whatever. I don't know if anybody here is from Indianapolis. So it was voted this year like the best place to live in the country. So I can't remember the town. Oh, it'll drive me crazy. And he shows me like
in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Oh God. So we know it's not Gary, because I think Gary is a really rough place. Oh shoot. I'll have to text him, but it's really nice. But he, and he's been doing really good. But yeah, yesterday, well, not as good.
Well, he got not as good.
Yeah, I wanted to see it.
No pepper spray.
Take that off. I said, I don't know what kind of. I said, what was she, a nurse? What does she play a nurse on fake TV? What are we doing here? He goes, I don't know.
Is she a Google doctor?
I go, they're all gonna be nice. Yeah, they're next door. They might even be related. Like, he said, no, she cleaned it off. She poured, peroxide. She wrapped it. And the wrapping part, I'm like, okay, that's not a real nurse. We don't wrap something that's not there. Okay. And then when he showed me, I'm like, yeah, it looks like it's going to bruise. And that, no, it didn't get through. And you're lucky, because you probably would have.
That could have been ugly
right now,
Oh, yeah.
Normally, it's nice places, and they're all mainly, they're beautiful communities, but they're a lot of elderly people, and they're all near like lakes and river areas. So these people have major issues with, bugs, spiders, and whatever. So I don't know. I have to ask him then, like, because some days he'll be like, I was in the ghetto today. He's like, a guy ran out. He goes, it's 9 a.m. and he's got he goes, and not a regular can of beer. He's got the jumbo. And he's telling me to get off his property. And I look at him. He goes, I'm on the street. Like, Nico, I go, don't answer them back. They are the kind of people that are going in their house. They'll get out their weird, their whatever they have, and they'll shoot you like they're crazy. He's like, yeah, he had a robe on and hiking boots. I'm like, take pictures next time. I'm amused. He goes, yeah, I went in another house. When I came out, he goes, the cops were there for him. I said, for what? He goes, he was peeing in the other guy's lawn. I go, and he's yelling at you because you're walking on the street. Oh, oh God, it's hard being. He's 22. I'm trying my very hardest to know that he's 22.
Am I here? Can you hear me? Okay, there we go.
Yeah, he's got to figure it out. But we all know as parents, there's a hot second where I'm like, do you need me? I'm fine, Mom. I told them you're a wound nurse. I go, oh, that probably scared the shit out of them. He goes, when I'm leaving, they said, tell your mom we took good care of you. Oh, okay. Okay, let them know that. Tell them to keep Cuddy's behind that window that he hasn't broken through yet. He goes, he came at me. He goes, it was like slow motion. And I could picture, those dogs are big.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big German Shepherd coming at you. Oh, God. I can't. I'm like, this is just the start of the season, Nico. Please. I can't. listen, no more. If you get sprayed by a skunk or something, you're on your own. I can't deal with this. Yeah. But
Well, here in Florida, we have to worry about, alligators and
yeah,
stuff
sure.
like that,
Yeah.
when you walk your dog.
Yeah.
They can come out of nowhere.
They come out, and that's, well, in our, I mean, I do have to ask them again. I don't know if it was I doubt it was a nice residential, I'm not sure though, because he said that people were nice, and they did have, supposedly they do have an electric fence, even though Nico told them, well, you don't have his collar on.
So that's not going to help you much.
Plus he's trying to bang his head through that window. I don't think that effing I don't think being electrocuted would stop Cuddy's stupid name.
No.
And
it probably just angered him more. He was probably like, give me some more.
He's like, I didn't even add sunglasses on, because I always, I take my sunglasses off. I have my badge. I got my hat on. I go, well, Cuddy's can't read, Nico. What the hell is wrong with you? Just keep the black pepper spray. I gotcha. Yeah, it's funny. In the car. That's great. It's in the car. I go, well, please get it out, please. So now I worry every night for the next Cuddy's.
Oh, I know, yeah.
To show up, the next one. I'm like, you're having bad luck this year. In the winter, the frozen squirrel right on the front of the house. We had a friggin' frozen squirrel. He comes in and he's like, I think there's a squirrel froze. It was really cold last night. I go, squirrels don't just freeze on your sidewalk. Did they say, let's show up at the Chandras and just die? He goes, no, Mom, he's dead. He's dead. I looked outside. That poor thing was belly up, stiff as a board. I go, ooh, he is dead. Oh, God. I wonder if he was poisoned. Because, is it me? I mean, aren't they equipped to, it wasn't even that cold. He goes,
maybe he got electrocuted.
He wasn't poisoned.
He might have gotten electrocuted.
Oh, I said, Nico, sweep him up, put him over at the pole where the garbage is. I come home a week later. He doesn't put it in the garbage bag. I look over at the pole. The stupid squirrel is still there. Rigor mortis at its finest. Also next to the pumpkin, which was molded to a rock, because by this time it's November. I'm like, you didn't throw it in the garbage bag? He goes, you didn't tell me to. I said, I told you to put it out with the garbage. He goes, I thought you meant next to it. I go, for what? So he's dead, but he could patrol the garbage? Oh, I don't know. It was a lot. He goes, I was traumatizing. God above, get a goddamn shovel and give him a proper burial. He goes, where? Do I dig it? I go, in the garbage bag. Oh, my kid. Oh, do I give? Yes, we're going to give him a proper burial. Let me get Pop out here to say a few words.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, the squirrels here in Florida I lived in Ohio. The squirrels here in Florida are crazy. And I swear to you, if my mom and I were not there, we would never have believed this. If I had this on film, it would have gone totally viral. So my daughter we were at the pool, and the squirrel kept trying to get into the trash can, and she was like, it's going to get stuck in there. So she was wasn't letting it, go into the trash can.
Yeah.
And we're walking back, from the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden she's like, hey, what in that? It was throwing nuts at her head. I shit you.
Really?
I kid you not. My mom and I were dying. I mean, we were on the ground laughing because this thing, it remembered her and was pissed off at her. And it was like, oh, here there she is. And
they're very, they are smart.
Yeah, they were throwing nuts at her head. I laughed so hard. I was like,
oh. Hit, and everybody started to have their groceries delivered to the house. So we used to have groceries delivered to the house. This is during the whole COVID thing. And one day my
Right.
dad's like, geez, something got into the groceries on the porch. And I'm like, she just delivered them. Like, I just got the message from her. He goes, I don't know. It's, I had a shoe. I had a shoe a squirrel away. And I'm like thinking, oh, was it trying to get through the bags? The son of a bitch actually busted a hole in, like, you know, when you go to the bakery, like they have cookies in like a plastic container type. It busted its way
Oh
through,
yeah.
ate at least 2 of my oatmeal raisin cookies. I was furious. I'm like, what else did he do? Wait, what else did he do? My dad goes, I had to throw the chips away. I went, does he enjoy chips too? I was furious. I come upstairs, I'm calling people. And in my room, I have like a little balcony. And if you open the window just a little, like I could put, like, say I have like a soda, I don't want it to get warm. I'll put it there and it stays cold. I hear like the screen, like something on the screen window. It's a squirrel trying to get in. I guess he was thirsty, the SOB. I went, are you
Oh
kidding?
my gosh.
And staring at me. I said, I'll show him. I got a bag of chips and I got my cookies. I lined them all up. I'm like, trying to get that mother. Yeah, you try that. I call my father up. Now, how could you know? My father goes, that's him. I go, oh, is it? Do you know him? He goes, no, look at him. He's staring. When he's probably hungry. I said, it's probably maybe part of the same family, but Jesus, they're awful pushy.
I know.
He got bit right through the cookies, ate the chips. He had like opened up, like the bags were a mess. They could make a mess, but I'm on it's almost a 3rd floor. That little SOB, for some reason, I don't know if it's the color. It was a Diet Ginger Ale can, but I'm like, I'll show you. You want to see the cookies you didn't eat? And the chips?
Yeah, exactly.
I laid it all out. Laid it all out. Like, now you go get your acorns, get the hell out of here. And not last year, and then this past year, he's probably the one that froze to death. He's like, oh, I'll show you, lady. I'm going to die right on your sidewalk, and I'm going to put a curse on the house. I can't make it up. Wild animals, they're everywhere because people feed them. Can't be feeding them. That's the problem. I'm sure otter fellows have had that. Kevin, you're too much. Wait, I find dead squirrels in my backyard from time to time. I have to bury them because the cats won't eat them. Yeah. When I came home, though, with the stupid squirrel, was like full rigor. Also, it was freezing out, but I just looked at my son and I'm like, as if it wasn't, I go, is that the squirrel that died here? That died here? He goes, yeah. I go, I thought I told you to throw it out. He goes, oh, I know. I thought you just meant like put it at the pole, like with the garbages. I go, why? Do you think our garbage men are gonna like be real gentle with it? What the hell is wrong with you? Take the squirrel and the rotten pumpkin and shove it in a garbage bag. I can't take it.
Well,
I don't know what looks
some
worse.
of the people
look worse than the molded pumpkin. Jesus.
I know, but you know what? You never know. I mean, some of the people that I have seen on TV and on whatever, I mean, they might have just been like, hey, roadkill, man, supper tonight.
I know. I said that to him too, and I'm like, oh God, you're lucky other animals didn't start coming around. Next door, we have a lady. She has 2 crazy pit bulls. I mean, we don't really ever see them because they'll eat your face off. The one went right through the window, so literally broke through her front glass window to get to the mailman, and it died. Okay, that's a crazy pit bull, but what do? You replace it with another crazy pit bull. So she's got 2 pit bulls. We don't ever see them, but I'm like, I got little Shih Tzus. I'm like, oh God, the thought of it.
That's what
my dad doesn't.
That's what we have. We have
that electric fence. I go, she's got the electric fence. We don't. So our dogs could run in her yard, and we'll never see them again.
Right, because I mean, You know,
You don't need another dog when you're one pit bull literally, and it was a huge picture window, lunged through it to probably eat the mailman, but instead the stupid SOB killed. He died, but still, the thought of that is scary. I go, were you home, Dad? He goes, my God, my father goes, yeah, I ran out. I didn't know what it was. And he goes, I said to Sue, now this is the best part. Do you want me to call an ambulance? Yes, Dad. Why don't you call 911 too? Do you want me to call an ambulance? I go, it's an animal. No. Well, I didn't know what to do. I was worried. I thought I'd like you call 911. I'm like, stay in the house. Oh, he drives me nuts. He doesn't do that anymore. But what a year we've had with crazy animals. Sometimes you walk away. Kevin, Kevin, you were a delivery boy, Kevin? Your fly was down. Good excuse. Sure it was down. Oh, wait, what did Edward say? All this squirrel talk is oh my God, Ed, that is the best with that damn squirrel in the tree. I just love Cousin Eddie. I don't know if anybody followed the Summer Wells, the whole Summer Wells thing here on YouTube with the poor, beautiful little missing girl that will never be found. But I'm telling you, her father, Jesus Christ, if Don Wells doesn't remind you of Cousin Eddie, nobody does. One day was trying to describe Sonner. He goes, she just loves to spin around and around and around on that swing. And I'm like, oh my God. Freaking Randy Quaid. It's Cousin Eddie. What's he going to say next? Like, she's born without a tongue, but she can whistle like nobody's business. Like, yeah, it's... anything in life weird, I always compare to Cousin Eddie. I love you, Ed. Was there a cartoon about squirrels? I don't know about that downtown. Not sure. I am not sure. I'm happy we started. Oh, hang on, Jen. Okay, Jen, hang on. You there, Jen? Jen, is it raining there?
Yeah.
Are you guys getting snow?
No. No. That's why I'm like, what is going on with my stupid
It's Charlie. It's Charlie.
It's Charlie and the Smurls. Ever since you sent me the Smurls, I'm like, oh.
I just want to make sure because, when I learned a lot about Manson, it was from John McSmith. And I'm doing this and I'm really into it because of John. So, John, I would love to give you the link if you'd like to come up, just because some things that we're going to talk about, if you know different, because you are you know what you're talking about. I will, let me hang on. I'm going to just drop it just in case you get the urge, or if I say something stupid that doesn't make sense, because, so many different sites. I don't know. Sometimes it's like, okay, who's right, who's not right, because you get a couple different stories, but I try to get the most factual. It's just that it's so right from his childhood, No, I'm not a Charlie Manson sympathizer, but I feel for him. Total product of his environment from day one. Jesus. There's the link, John, if you'd like to, absolutely. Just from day one. So it was, it's awful. It's awful in a million. I could honestly say I hate Tex Watson more than I hate Charlie, and that's weird. But I do. You guys will, once we start talking about it more, and then we get into the book. I mean, that man is nuts. And the girls are.
He just didn't even have
scary nuts. So
no chance.
No.
Yeah, and he had no chance.
Link is there, John. So please, if you're able to, or at any time you want to hop up, I did put that in for you because we do love. You always give little tidbits on things that, like, I don't, you don't always even find when you're researching and stuff. So I do appreciate it. And I did put on my community tab. I don't know how many people got to watch it, but that was an excellent interview that you told us to watch. Who was that with again? Norton? what the hell was his name? Because when I posted it, Downtown Under was like, oh my God, this is the interview of Tom Snyder that John told us about. I'm like, hell yeah. Yes, it is. So that was good. Because he starts out, he had been in the whole, there's John Ye. Hang on. Let me find the 3. Hang on, though. I don't like when it's like that. I like, okay. Wow, my goodness. They can't make it so that we're all the same size. I don't like that. John, can you hear?
I can hear you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Just great.
I'm so happy you're here. You are the guru of all things. You are the guru of the factual Manson things, because there's so much out there that you kind of don't know if you're telling the right. I mean, I'm hoping I'm telling the facts, but you read two different newspapers, and it's not always the same. And I'm like, which is right?
Yeah. Listen, I don't pretend like I know everything either.
Oh no. But
because Manson, see, he won't. Among other things, Manson isn't a snitch. So even though he wasn't there, he still won't point the finger at Tex or anything. He'll just kind of say, he'll say, they just did what they did or whatever. He won't tell you that, hey, Tex did this. He knows what Tex did. So it creates this, it's really hard to figure out. And I know I told you the Tom Snyder interview. And the thing about that is, that's when he was at Vacaville, and that's a mental institution. So he's drugged up a little bit there. And yeah, it's interesting, but really, if you can find the full uncut Geraldo video.
That's the one I was telling Jen that you told me about. You think that's hard? Is that hard to find?
There's probably 58 minutes of it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
But there's more. There's more of it on a Manson website, and I don't know if any of those Manson websites are still around.
Oh, I'll look though. Okay, because I do remember it briefly. It was wild.
Yeah, it's good, and he tells the truth in there. It's just that it's so vague that if you don't really dig down, you don't have any idea what he's talking about. But like I posted that quote from him where he said, you had a picture of the victims.
Yeah.
And somebody asked him, I think it was Geraldo, that you have all these innocent victims or something, or maybe it was Tom Snyder. And he said, innocent? Who's innocent? That was during Snyder. But there was another case another interview where he runs down this Cielo LaBianca guy. He's kind of like, according to Manson, yeah, he owns the grocery stores and stuff, but he's a fringe kind of mobster guy.
Who is this?
Cielo LaBianca.
Oh, because I didn't realize if he was involved in any.
No, he was a victim.
I know he was a victim. I just didn't know if he knew anyone.
Well, see, that's just it. That when they were saying that all these people were innocent, Manson always takes offense and says, "Hey, wait a minute, who's innocent?"
Yeah, you did tell me that.
Yeah, he starts talking about Sharon Tate and how about she made all these porno movies back in the day. She made a bunch of porno movies and stuff with what's his name? The one that got busted with the underage girl, Roman Polanski.
Oh, with who he
her husband.
With her husband.
Yeah. She made her. Were they married?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess they did, but yeah, did they get married? Yeah, I guess they did.
Yeah.
And
he could never come back here.
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
He was conveniently out of town when Sharon got married. I don't think they were They weren't married.
No, they were married. he wouldn't come. Like she kept begging him to come home.
Yeah, she was pregnant, but I get, were they married? I really don't know. I don't
thought
know.
they were. I'll double check, but I always
Maybe
thought that
they
it was
weren't.
weird that she was saying like this person keeps coming here and bringing this music and I'm scared, and I thought like, why are you going home? You're a woman and like she's pregnant and scared.
But listen, not to keep jumping around, but hey, if your listeners and Jennifer Bradford, if and yourself, if you want to know what happened here, you know, from a criminal standpoint, from that standpoint, all that cult stuff and all that crapola, that's Helter Skelter, that's Vincent Bugliosi. That ain't what happened. What you have to look at is the guy that did it.
Yeah.
You got to quit looking at Manson, and you got to study Tex Watson, because Tex is the guy that did it.
That's why I wanted to do this first, to kind of set things straight before we read Helter Skelter, which it's very interesting, but it's also written by, you know, the lead prosecutor of the case. So you have to take that into consideration. He he used an alarm clock for the timeline, and he used 3 witnesses. So it's like, it's pretty sketchy, right? Okay. So and Sharon were married. They married in January 20th, 1968 until she passed on August 9th, 1969. So they weren't married long.
What date in 68?
January 20th of 1968 is when they married.
So they were married almost 2 years.
Almost 68. She died in 69. So I mean, you know, I just thought it was weird that he didn't come home for her. Weird. I mean, and then he was arrested in the 70s for abusing a 13-year-old girl.
Right. And see, what Manson was saying was that he had made some films like that of Sharon Tate.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Manson says that in one of the interviews. He said, because he took offense when they kept saying these people are innocent. And he's like, you guys are innocent, man. They're doing worse shit than me. He's over there making porno movies with underage girls. Leo LaBianca is a wannabe mafia guy that's got a little black book with a bunch of names in it. That's why he got killed. His wife was an innocent bystander.
Yeah, the wife was. I did read. I can't wait to. There's
but
so
you
much.
have to. I mean, you got to sift through. It's nearly impossible to get to the brass tacks of this thing. But it all revolves around Tex, because Tex got into a bunch of trouble on the street, and Charlie had to bail him out.
Yeah, and he did.
And that's how Charlie got roped into it. It wasn't none of Charlie's business. It was Tex that drug everybody into it.
Right.
Because Texas is a yokel from Texas. He didn't know anything about the street. He was a high school All-American.
So
and Charlie like living that life.
Charlie literally talked Tex out of his truck the first day he met him, and all the money that Tex had.
Did he have a lot of money? Did he have a lot of money?
No, he had some money. When Tex came to L.A., he didn't go to college like he was supposed to. Instead, he went to Los Angeles, and he hooked up with this guy that was a hairdresser that had not Jay Sebring now, but another guy, and they were selling dope and stuff, and he was just living kind of a carefree lifestyle, selling speed and weed and stuff. And something happened, and I don't remember what happened, but that guy split or something, and that kind of left Tex in the lurch. And right about that time, here comes Charlie.
Oh.
And Charlie comes along, hustles him out of his truck and what little bit of money he had. And now Tex has got nothing, right?
Right.
Which is how Manson wants you. And so he's and the other thing you want to remember is it's not a cult. It's not even a band. It's a gang. Manson thinks like a mafia guy. He thinks he's a mafia guy.
Did.
And so he learned all this from these old mafia guys. He was in prison with a guy that was in Ma Barker's gang. And I forget the
in
guy's
Bob?
name.
Did you say in Bob Barker's gang?
Ma Barker.
I'm like, wait a minute, hang on.
No, not Bob Barker.
Yeah, I'm like, I know Bob Barker's a perv, but I didn't know he did gang.
No. Ma Barker was an old bank robber, like in Bonnie and Clyde days.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh
he was
my
in
gosh,
prison with one of those guys. And so he thinks like a gangster.
Yeah.
And so he's got a whole criminal operation going on over there. There's ended up stealing dune buggies and cars and guns and all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
He's just kind of he's a criminal, and like you guys were saying, under no fault of his own, he ends up in the system at 9 years old. That wasn't his fault.
No, it made me sad.
No, that was terrible.
When he does that interview, that one we just watched that you told us about, yeah, and they talk about his mother, and it makes.
And even when he went to prison the first time, like he went through all this reform school and all this crap and running away from those and getting kicked out of other ones. But then when he was 18 and he went to prison the first time on a 10-year stint, it was for he forged a $34 check.
Mm-hmm.
And he got 10 years for forgery.
Oh, wow.
So that was the first time he went in. Went right when he's like 18 or so.
Yeah.
So now he comes out and he's almost 30 and now he knows nothing else. He grew up in there and now he just did 10 hard years.
Jesus.
And then he ends up back
for a $33 check.
Did you say how old he was when he got out of jail?
That was the first time.
Yeah.
So he was in jail all through, and then he got out, and then he got busted again, and he went back in, and he didn't get out till 67, and that's when he started meeting all the girls and everything. Because it was like the hippie summer of love that summer, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I read a good article on that.
And so that's how he met Squeaky and Mary Bruner, and Mary Bruner was
that was one of his. That was the first member of the family. He named her.
Yeah, she snitched.
And he gave him a child too.
Yeah, he's still around unless he died or something.
He is still around. Just the oldest, Charles, committed suicide.
Is that right?
Yeah, the other two sons.
Well, now those other two, to my knowledge, were never actually. I don't know. Did they ever get confirmed as being his kids?
They did, and then somebody else came forward and they did a DNA on this guy, and he's not.
Yeah, right.
I have it all. It's because they all wanted at the end when he did die. I mean, he had $1 million. He had $1 million estate, whatever you know. You make of it. There are people that would take $10 from him if they could.
And and somebody was saying about the girls, they were all, most of them, I know Mary Bruner went to university, Squeaky did.
Mm-hmm. They all had normal families, normal lives. They were librarians, they were teacher aides, they were they worked in the church at the church. You can't, like, any of those girls, like, you read their life growing up, like, they all had like nice families, good life.
Except for Susie. No, Susie was.
Except
Susie had a whole life.
She's a breed of her own.
Yeah, she was a little different. Now she's not like, she didn't go to college, and she was like more like a trailer park street kid. Yeah. She was dancing on tables and shit when she was 15 or 16. So even Manson. Imagine Manson calling you bad news. But he even Manson called Susie bad news. And he never liked her.
I saw Manson when Kathleen went and did her interview with who was it, Sadie, Sexy Sadie, and Kathleen also started writing to Manson, and she asked him, like, did you ever sleep with Sadie? You know, she says she was one of your girls, and he wrote back and he's like, I don't fuck old ladies, which I loved.
He never liked her. I'm telling you, he hated Susie.
He hated her. She wasn't too happy about it, but I don't even think she believed Kathleen at that point. You know, she was too busy calling her Piggy and just beating around the bush, saying, just putting on a show kind of thing, and then said something pretty rough to Kathleen. I don't know what it was. She still won't tell me to this day. It was something that Kathleen said no one knew something happened to Kathleen in her life or something. I can't remember. And this woman said it to her, and that freaked Kathleen was a mess and never went back.
Wow.
That's a scary. She's like, I've never been afraid of anyone I've interviewed.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
until her.
You see, Susie Atkins, Sadie, she was the witchy one. She was the one that brought in all this witchy shit. Okay, nobody else. Sandra Good and now Leslie Van Houten, that was Bobby's girl, Bobby Beausoleil's girl. Right. She wasn't really. But Sandra Good and Squeaky and Mary Bruner, there's a couple of Nancy Pittman. Mm-hmm. These girls, Nancy Pittman especially, had a bunch of money. Her family did, and they all went to UCLA or something.
Oh yeah, I do have it written down. I was impressed. I was like, look at these people. I don't know. Are they lost souls looking for something bad? I don't know.
Well, see, that's why Charlie always says when they said, that he's doing this mind control and he's got this cult, and he always throws up his hands and he goes, "Wait a minute! It's like every one of them smarter than me. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
They were manipulating me. I was doing what they wanted. They wanted me to be this rock star kind of guy, and I wasn't even thinking that way.
Right.
Right.
So that's where the BS comes in.
Yeah, you're right, John. That is what he says. He doesn't.
They call them the witches. Yeah, they called them the witches of Mendocino, and it was Stephanie Rose, Susan Atkins, and Mary Bruner.
Yeah, Mary got into that too, and it comes from Susie though. Susie was already witchy when Charlie met her, according to Charlie. She was already dabbling in that shit. And she's the one that told her, she's the one that broke the story because she talked to her cellmate and told her that
what a big mouth.
It felt groovy walking around in the blood in her bare feet. It felt groovy, she said. That's how crazy Susan Atkins is.
So groovy.
She's way nuttier than Charlie, man.
Oh,
so is Tess.
Definitely.
And what's her name? We didn't even mention Katie Krenwinkel. Patricia?
Yeah, they don't mention. How come, though?
Well, Katie's the nuttiest of them all, man. She's the one that, her and Tex were the one that did everything.
Patricia Krenwinkel did with Tex? Really?
Yeah, Katie.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, she's the one that, she chased Abigail Folger all around the yard with a knife and was stabbing her. And she stabbed.
What was Kasabian? Did Kasabian just stand guard?
Yeah, she didn't do anything.
Oh, okay.
In fact, she had never even been out to the ranch except a couple of weeks before that.
Oh, wow, really?
Or not very long. She came out of nowhere.
God.
She got dumped there with her kid by somebody, and Charlie took her in.
Yeah.
Charlie said something like, "I didn't care nothing about Linda Kasabian. I just wanted to get inside her body. Is all I wanted to do."
Wow.
Yeah, they were.
Were they
sex, drugs, and rock and roll?
Were they all sleeping with Charlie, or were they just all sleeping with each other?
They were all sleeping with Charlie. And the way I understand it, the only one that wasn't bouncing around, the only girl, was Squeaky. Squeaky was Charlie's girl, and she wasn't fooling around with Tex or nothing like that, like the other girls were. And there was other guys there too.
Right.
It was a revolving gang of about 20 to 25. Drifters come in and out. They go up to San Francisco, come back down, stay at the ranch, that kind of thing.
So Squeaky's problem was she was going to try to kill President Ford, right?
That was, she said she did that to bring attention to the environment.
Is that bring attention to the what?
destruction of the
environment.
environment.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And supposedly the gun wasn't loaded. I don't think it was because she got out.
She did. Oh, here it is. Yeah, she aimed a 45 Colt at the president, but the gun didn't fire, and investigators later realized there were no rounds in the chamber. Yeah,
you can see video of that. There's video of that.
There is. Oh, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
You can see her pull the weapon, and the Secret Service guy grabs her and whatnot in the crowd. In the crowd. Yeah, that was on camera.
Oh wow. Okay. I didn't.
But
Okay.
she didn't have it. Squeaky wasn't there at the Manson murders. Didn't have anything to do with it. She was back at the ranch. So that's why she didn't go to prison. Sandra Good didn't. They're the ones that sat outside the courthouse and shaved their heads and
oh my gosh,
chanted and everything, because that trial went on for I don't know how long, a year, it must have been.
It was interesting too. I was reading because when they walk in and they're all wearing their fancy, ugly dresses and holding hands.
Yeah,
those dresses were donated to them by Manson fans, because they didn't have any dresses to wear. Those girls, so they gave the girls like dressy clothes, pretty dresses to wear for them to wear. I'm like, oh my god,
is that right?
Yeah, yep. Man, I don't know if they were fans of Manson, if they were fans of the girls, but yeah, they donated a bunch of dresses for them to wear to the hearings.
Because those girls, they were amazing seamstresses. And I don't know if you've ever seen that jacket that they made for Charlie.
No.
But I don't know what happened to that. Charlie was pissed about it. One of the interviews, he's asking about, I want my fucking jacket back. But they stitched up this jacket, the girls did, with needlepoint and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's pictures of it somewhere. It's got all the, I forget what all's on. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Like a leather jacket, you think? Like, what do you think it was?
Yeah, it was like a leather jacket. And then when they shaved their heads during the trial, I guess he shaved his head, and so they did to show solidarity or whatever.
Right.
They took their hair that they shaved off, cut off, and they weaved it into that jacket. That jacket's badass.
God, really?
You could probably Google it and get a picture of it. It's got all kinds of like little patchwork that they did. But they sewed all their own clothes. I guess I always thought that they made those clothes, that somebody made those for them.
Yeah, like especially there's like a blue set, they're like satiny ones.
Yeah, like they almost look like homemade dresses to me. That's why
they were prom. Some of the girls had worn them to like proms and dances and stuff, but like they wanted them to have them because they were just such followers.
Yeah, people think they're just sitting around there doing drugs and having orgies and stuff. Man, they were doing all kinds of stuff, and stolen was one of them.
Right.
And I don't know if you know it. I don't know if you know it about Spawn Ranch, but it's an old.
I love Spawn Ranch.
Yeah, well, it's an old. The thing about it is, it's an old TV set / movie set, and so it's like an old Western town with a saloon, but it's also had all these costumes that were there.
Yeah, it's an I mean, it was a working ranch. They had horseback riding that they would take people.
Yeah, well, that was later. Spawn started.
Cool. I would love to go there. I don't know if it's even still open, but
it's torn down now. Now it's a state park, so you can go there, but it's a state park.
It's a state park.
The buildings are gone. Yeah.
Oh.
But the so they would drop all this acid, and then they would wear these movie wardrobe costumes, like sheriff and that kind of thing.
Oh wow!
And then now you're on this movie set, this TV set. It was in like Gunsmoke, a few episodes of Gunsmoke, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you got the saloon and all, and so they're on acid, if you can imagine.
Oh my god!
Sort of doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because you got the clothes and you got the movie set, and now you got the best acid, But the guns came later and that kind of thing.
So,
That was
okay,
later.
so Lauren Crime said his jacket, it was a buckskin jacket. Wow.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
and the
absolutely
girls'
right.
dresses were made from hemp. I have to look more into that.
It was an Indian jacket that he got from the Indians, and that they had made, I think.
Oh, well.
It was made out of bucks because he was tight with the Indians. Like he could go in there and
Okay.
talk with the Indians.
Yeah, he does talk about them in that one interview, and I think I don't know if it's Snyder he looked a little scared because he does get that look in his eye. But beyond everything he did horrible in his life, the dude was charismatic, you know.
Yeah, yeah. The thing about it, like I said, he's on medication in that Vacaville video.
That video, I mean, and he even when he sits down, what does he say? He said, "I got to be honest with you. I've been like in the hole for how long? I'm kind of freaked out right now. I'm like scared. He said it like literally. I'm a little scared right now because he hadn't been around people. He'd been in a hole, and you look at him, and
right.
he does look like he does. And there's like three huge dudes, just like not cracking a smile, just staring at him. It's
like those animals when they let them out of a cage into the wild, and they step out of the cage and they just stand there looking.
Yeah, it's creepy. And this is another thing, and I wonder because I was mentioning it to Jen, and I don't know if you've heard it. So in that interview, he asked Charlie something about like, I don't know if he makes them with thread, like spiders and different things. Do you know anything about that? And I guess like people would mail him like to make him stuff, and it was like he would make like he goes, I love scorpions.
Yeah.
Does that?
He'd make these. See, they wouldn't let him have anything in his jail cell. I mean, almost nothing. And he would take a sock, and according to Manson, this is the only place I ever heard this, but a regular machine-made sock is made out of one piece of thread, and he would meticulously start at the toe and unravel that whole thing.
Jesus.
Because a sock is just one long piece of thread that's cut it. So then he would take those, and he would make these string art. You ever seen string art?
Yeah.
He'd make string art, and he'd make these spiders and stuff that are really creepy, man. Really creepy.
Yeah.
But the one thing about that Snyder interview, he asked Manson, he said, are you scared of dying, Charlie? And Charlie says, sometimes I'm scared to live.
He does say that.
And it's awesome. He said, living's the tough part or something like that.
Yeah.
But when he says, sometimes I'm scared to live, it's like, man.
Yeah, the things he says, like, because it makes you think. He's like, are you sad here? And he's like, there is no sad in my brain or like happy or anything. He's like, there's none of that. Like, I'm like, he just, I don't know what he was trying to get across, but like, then they said, like, what do you think of when your mother? And I forget what he said. Like, if he said, I just think evil, like that was the only time, like when they asked about feeling things, like he said something negative, and I can't remember the word he used. I wish I could remember. I can't, but they said, he said, well, what's your maybe first memory of your mom? Or he's like, I remember having to go and visit my mom in jail. She was doing time. And he's like, oh, for what? And he's like, well, one time I was like, and I don't know if he said he was in third grade, how old he was. He's like, I needed a surgery and they weren't going to do it. He's like, so, my mom put a gun. My mom put a gun to the surgeon. Gosh. Yeah, put a gun to the surgeon's head to do my surgery because we didn't have the money, and so she went to jail for that. And I'm like, wow.
I've never heard that.
And it's pretty interesting. But so was that what is that like grand? Oh God, I can't remember. But yeah, she went to jail for that. He was very sick. I can't remember. And they didn't have the money, and she was gonna. I guess strong.
He lived with his grandma. He lived with his grandma for a long time.
He did live with her. Yeah, he talks about her. He does not.
And she was very
There are
strict,
no
right?
fond words about his mother. None.
No, he loved his grandma. He told Geraldo that she never cheated, never lied, never cussed.
Yeah.
Never. No, he had her.
Wow.
That's the only time I ever heard him talk about her, and he was really emphatic.
Yeah, I agree.
That,
He said that's the one woman in his life that he respected. The one woman in his life he respected the most was his grandmother.
yeah, and he makes the point that
That's a shame.
she never lied.
Right.
Because his mom be lying all the time and shit.
Always. He says she sold me for a 6-pack or a bottle of beer.
A pitcher of beer, I think it was.
Disgusting. Disgusting. Could you even, I mean, oh, God.
And his dad was actually, according to Charlie, his dad's a colonel in the Army, in the English Army.
Oh, yeah. How about that part of the interview when, is it Graham or whoever says to him, so you never knew your dad? He goes, I knew my dad. I met my dad. Like, he took I knew him. He wasn't with my crazy mother anymore or whatever, but yeah, I met my dad. I knew him.
Sorry, I misspoke. He wasn't in the English Army. He was a colonel in the U.S. Army, but he was stationed in England.
Yeah.
He had been stationed
he said,
in
oh,
England.
I'm sorry. Because he kind of got a little he took offense. He's like, I know who my dad is. I met him. And I was like,
right.
Oh, no, because we don't really hear much, but probably that makes sense. And if he even wasn't around here. But
yeah, he heard about. He probably heard more about his dad than he knew.
Right.
His dad.
Yeah.
You know how that goes.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
from his mom.
It's hard to even ask him a question. He'll start out giving you the answer, man, but Jesus, then he just takes off.
Yeah, you see, he's not a snitch. It took me a long time to figure that out. I was like, why is he so freaking vague all the time? And it's because he's not a snitch, man. It's part of that prison code that he was brought up with. And he won't even point the finger at Tex.
He won't. He won't. The guy goes, are you afraid to be in jail? He goes, afraid of what? He goes, like the other people here. He goes, for what? These are all I walk down these halls. I'm everybody's brother. I don't talk about anybody. I look straight ahead. I ain't no snitch. No, I'm not afraid of anybody because I don't do anything that I shouldn't be doing. I keep to myself. Right. I'm pissed off because they took my guitar away. But other than that, I don't bother anybody. Yeah.
Yeah. He knows how to.
What about his music, John? What about his music?
You mean his actual songs that he wrote, or
his music was good?
Yeah, he had some stolen from him, correct?
He's what?
Yeah,
he had some stolen from him.
Well, Brian Wilson took.
Well, it was Dennis.
Dennis Wilson sold it and made money. He has more harsh words for Dennis than anybody because Dennis sold it and made money.
Well, he stole that song, and what really pissed Manson off was that they changed the title and the lyrics a little bit to where it changed the whole meaning of the song, and that pissed him off.
Yeah,
and then he was supposedly supposed to get $5,000 for that, and they never paid him his $5,000.
Right, that's what he's like. Nothing. I got nothing.
And then whether or not, I don't think that had anything to do with Tate LaBianca. People try to tie that together, but because he went to Dennis's house as early as 1968, and Dennis wasn't there. Dennis was already scared. He split and was hiding down in Santa Monica, and Charlie went up there because Dennis lived in Will Rogers' old house. He rented Will Rogers' old place.
Oh wow! Okay.
So that's all you have to do is look that up, and it's still there, of course.
It is still there. When I went to LA, we did a tour. I saw that house.
Yeah, you'll see where it is in relation to Santa Monica, and so he was way down in Santa Monica. Dennis was, and when Charlie went over there, the housekeeper answered the door, and they said, "Well, or it wasn't a housekeeper; it was like some of his buddies or something."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, he's not here," and Charlie said, "Well, give him this for him and tell him it's for him." And it was a .45 caliber round from a gun. So tell Dennis that's for him, because he was after Dennis for that $5,000 that he didn't get. See, and that's because he's gangster. Charlie's gangster all the way. See, so he went over there and just gave that dude a bullet.
Wow.
Told him that's for Dennis. So Dennis was scared shitless.
They did. I did read that. Then now, but was Brian his friend at first and then introduced to Dennis? Because I swear I just remember more of Brian.
No, Brian. No. Brian and those guys never liked Manson.
Okay.
It was Dennis. He's the drummer, and he's way more starry-eyed and sort of mystical acting. No, it was just everybody else in the Beach Boys didn't like Manson. But Dennis was, he's had the house and let him in there, and they all partied there.
Mm-hmm.
He paid for all their syphilis treatments. The whole house had syphilis. Dennis paid for all that.
Dennis did? Oh my
God. They smashed his, Tex smashed his rolls. Dennis Wilson's rolls. Tex smashed it. I think they smashed his Ferrari too.
Jesus.
But I know they smashed his rolls.
Wow.
But Dennis had picked up Patty Krenwinkel. I always call her Katie, but I guess her real name's Patty Krenwinkel.
Mm-hmm.
He picked her up and one of the other girls, I don't know which one it was, one of the less famous ones. Mm-hmm. And he took her back there and had a three-way with him. And then after that, while they were there, of course, they called Charlie.
Oh.
Come on down, we're here. And they all invaded Dennis Wilson's house, man. Well, he had to go to work. So Dennis Wilson had a recording session that night. That's what it was. And when he came back, the whole Manson crew was in his house.
Oh God, picture that.
But he loved Manson and thought he was great. How Manson started recording, was because of Dennis Wilson. But it was Dennis that stole the song. You can listen to it, the Beach Boy version.
I did.
And even Manson's version, I think.
I tried to make a video, short today with Manson's version of it, and they stopped me, YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, it'd either be a strike or get it out, so I have to.
Well, I wonder who owns the copyright to that.
I don't know. And I don't even know if they just the whole thing where they were calling it like propaganda. I don't even know if they wanted me to put Manson's name in it.
Well, yeah, songs like his own songs like Garbage Dump and Clang, Clang, Clang Goes the Big Iron Door or something like that. And what else? I don't know. But he sings that country and Western songs. The one I like is Invisible Tears.
Oh, I have to listen.
But he's got a very strange guitar style. In fact, you've never heard anybody sing and play like that guy. He's very, I don't know, man. He's really different.
So you think things could have gone a different way and he could have become, or do you think he was so institutionalized mentally that he never really could have been a performer?
Yeah, according to Charlie himself. Mm-hmm. When he went in to cut that record, mm-hmm. and you can hear most of it. It came out as a record when they were already in prison,
mm-hmm.
but or waiting trial, in there for trial. I mean, he said that he found out because recording an album is a lot of work.
Yeah,
you gotta come up with the songs. You spend hours in the studio, arranging mm-hmm. them and all this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It took a year to make Sgt. Pepper's. You know what I mean?
Right.
And Manson said, I found out that going in there and making those records, he said that was a bigger prison than the one I just got out of.
Wow.
And what it was, he didn't like working. He was a lazy bum.
Oh.
So criminal activity, especially pimping, was a lot easier.
Much easier.
So he just pimped those girls, and then that way he doesn't have to work. He can just sit around, which is what he liked to do. Sit around and play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And the other girls were all whores. Charlie was a pimp, but Squeaky was
a pimp.
Charlie's a pimp, and Squeaky and Sandra Good are what you call, in the pimping world, you call them your frontline girls. Mm-hmm. Now this is late. This is much later, toward the end.
Okay.
Because when they had the biker gang that was staying out there at Spawn Ranch too.
Like what? Like Hell's Angels or a different gang?
No, it was the straight Satans.
Oh wow.
And there's a whole story of how they ended up out there, and they're the ones that ended up busting Charlie too. But yeah, and he was pimping the girls out to them. But he would use Sandy and Squeaky as the frontline girls, meaning you have them out front. So when the bikers ride by, because they're the prettiest too, Sandra and Squeaky.
Oh.
So they drive by and they see these two pretty girls, right?
Yeah.
And hey, Charlie, they stop. What's happening? But Squeaky and Sandy ain't for sale. And so they end up getting
wow.
blah, 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 and the other girls go down there and party.
Oh, okay.
But see, Gary Hinman, somebody mentioned Gary Hinman. I guess Jennifer did when she was talking about the victims. Gary Hinman was a victim. See, he sold some bad dope to Tex.
Oh.
He sold some mescaline that those bikers bought, $1,000 worth of mescaline.
Oh, wow.
And when it sits on the shelf for too long, because Gary Hinman was a chemist. He was just graduating with a degree in chemistry. So he was a chemist and been making drugs for a while. He made that mescaline, and when it sits on the shelf, it degrades into something else that's frickin' poison. And so he sold this old mescaline to Tex. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry, it wasn't Tex. It was Bobby Beausoleil. So it was Bobby that went over there to get the mescaline for the bikers.
Right.
And when he took it back and they had a party and everybody got sick off of it.
Oh, really?
And so Bobby went back to Gary. And this is how Manson gets dragged into shit, because Manson didn't have nothing to do with this. So now the bikers they're literally going to kill Bobby if he doesn't get their money back for that bad dope. So he goes over to Gary.
Okay.
He goes over to Gary Hinman to get that $1,000 back.
Right.
And Gary Hinman says, "I don't know what you're talking about. You're out of your mind. I don't have your money, and I already spent it, and that dope was fine." That kind of thing.
Wow.
And so they hauled around, and Bobby didn't know what to do, because now Bobby is scared that the bikers are going to kill him over that $1,000. I don't know if you know who Bobby Beausoleil is.
Yeah, there's a lot about on him that I just started. I'm like, I don't know this name.
He's key to it. He and Tex are the two fuck ups that dragged Charlie into this mess. And so when Bobby was there, and so Bobby doesn't know how to deal with Hinman to get his money back, and he's scared the bikers are going to track him down somewhere in California and kill him. So he calls Manson, Bobby's only 18. Charlie's 30 and a hardened criminal,
Jesus.
right?
Yeah.
So he calls Charlie. Charlie comes over there, and Charlie plays tough guy with Gary Hinman. Charlie ain't going to do shit. Charlie's basically nonviolent, but he's threatening the guy, blah, blah, blah. And they end up giving him this car, giving him the title to 2 cars.
Yeah.
But Manson did swing a sword at him and cut his ear off. And Susie, I believe, sewed it back on with a needle and thread.
Oh my God.
Susie and the other girl.
Wow.
And then Charlie left. Everybody left, and it was just Bobby, and Bobby ended up killing him. And then Bobby went back later, the next day. The fucker went back the next day, and that's when he wrote that stuff on the wall in Gary's blood, like political piggy or whatever.
Oh, okay.
He didn't even do that at the time. He did that the next day. He came up with that idea. And he went back to the murder scene, back in there, after Gary, he said Gary was all covered with maggots and flies and everything, because it's August. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In Southern California.
Oof.
So, not to get too gruesome, but it's Bobby and Tex drag Charlie into these things, and because he's gang,
Yeah.
he thinks like a gang member and a gangster. Okay, now you owe me, see?
Oh, wow.
I've done this for you, now you owe me. Well, there was a thing with Tex got into it with this black guy, Popsa, Lotsa Popsa. You'll see his name come up.
That's in there. I saw. Yeah, I printed out so much.
Yeah, Charlie shot Lotsa Popsa in the stomach, and he thought he killed him. And Lotsa Popsa was a Black Panther, and Tex had ripped that guy off. And so now they're scared of the Black Panthers because of Tex. They're scared of the bikers because of Bobby. Manson's just sitting back at the ranch, man. He's not doing anything. Yeah, and these guys are got him into this mess now. Jeez. And that's what got it all started was that when you look at Tex, you'll see that he got mixed up with this dude named that's his street name, Lotsa Papa.
Okay.
And he was a Black Panther. Tex owed him money. Said, "You better bring me some money, or you better have my money now, or you're dead." And so Tex got on the phone and called Charlie, and Charlie came over there, and there was something happened, and Charlie shot the dude in the stomach. So Charlie admits to shooting that guy, only because that guy didn't die.
Right.
But Tex and Charlie didn't know that he didn't die. They thought he did.
Oh.
And so they thought that all the Black Panthers now were going to, because he had already threatened to come out to the ranch and kill everybody, that Black Panther.
Wow.
So that got everybody paranoid out at the ranch, that these Black Panthers are going to show up anytime and gun us all down. And that's when things turned militant. And he brought the bikers out there because the bikers had guns.
Oh, okay. So do you believe then what they say then that Charlie kind of did that to make it like a war against whites and the Black Panthers?
No, but that's where Vincent gets it.
Okay.
That's where Vincent made it up.
Okay.
But there wasn't a war. Charlie was just paranoid that guy was going to follow through on his threat and come out there and kill. He said he was going to kill everybody out there at that ranch, is what Lotsa Papa told him before Charlie shot him. And so he thought they were for sure. Now they killed him, or he thought he killed him, right? He thought for sure they're going to come out there to the ranch. But there was never this idea. He did feed that story to only one guy that I know of. And that's the little guy that was he became mayor in Inyo, California. He's dead now. He died of cancer. I don't remember the guy's name. But he was a musician also. And he was right there at the trials. He didn't go on trial, but he's outside with the girls. Man, if somebody can remember his name. I can't remember his name at the moment. But he's the one that Charlie fed that helter-skelter race war story to. And then he told Buglioso that's where that comes from.
Oh.
But that wasn't like a general thing that, see, Charlie would tell one person this and another person this and another person that, depending on what buttons he needed to push. And so he's a con man, and he's liable to tell you anything.
He is a good con. He's good at that.
And that was just one story that he laid on. I want to say the guy's Eric, but that's not right. He was on Larry King a lot later. There's an interview with him on Larry King. But he's a little bitty short dude, and he's quite a bit younger too. And he was with him out in the desert, and that's supposedly when Charlie told him all that stuff, because they hid out in the desert when they left the ranch after the murders.
Yeah. Oh, okay, right.
The murders happened in August, but they didn't get arrested till December.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So when after the murders happened, the LaBianca murders, then Charlie's like, you know what? It's too hot here. We got to get out of here, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's when they split and went to the desert.
Did Charlie know the guy that owned Spawn Ranch? What was his name?
Spawn.
How did Charlie know him?
One of the girls was from that area. I'd have to run down the list of girls and figure out which one it was.
Okay, so it was
one of the girls.
Okay.
Because that was out there in Chatsworth, up there north of Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
On the edge of Death Valley, somewhere.
Yeah.
And the Barker Ranch. Oh, that was Barker Ranch. It was her grandparents that had Barker Ranch. How he, you know what? That's a good question. How did he know? That's how he knew where the Barker Ranch was, and that's where they went to, way up there in the middle
I
of
was
nowhere.
wondering that.
That you can't even. He got that bus back there somehow, but that's very remote.
Crazy.
Yeah, how did he know about Spawn? Let me think about that for a minute. I can't. But that's how he knew about Barker. One of the girls' grandparents had Barker Ranch, and so that's how they knew where it was, and nobody would be there.
And
But
then he just let that guy let them all take over his ranch, then, right?
Well, Spawn was blind, had become legally blind, and he was very fond of Squeaky. He's the one that gave Squeaky her name, because he'd run his hand up her dress and she'd squeak. Lynette Fromm.
Wow.
So it was Spawn that gave her the name Squeaky, and so he was a dirty old man, and he liked the girls around all the time, even though he was blind.
They make him really like in the movie, Tarantino's movie. It's like he's blind, he's pervy, but like make sure every day Charlie makes sure one of the girls' services home. I'm like, oh God, whose job would that be?
Yeah, now they deny that, but I'm pretty sure that's kind of how it went.
Yeah, I'm like, the poor man was so. They had him in like that little room and a little like one room. It looked like a shack. It was a shit show.
Yeah, yeah. You sit in there and watch TV. That's where they'd watch the news sometimes. That was the only TV they had, was Spawn's little TV in there.
I love that movie when they show them all like the Waltons after dinner. Everybody's holding hands, dropping LSD, smoking weed, watching the news, watching game shows. I'm like, look at this big happy family.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, but it was. I mean, of course, Quintino's was a whole other take, but it gave you some little things that was like, that's okay. I didn't know a lot about Spawn Ranch, and so with the horseback. They made money through that, bringing people in. They'd take you horseback riding through the hills. So it was like, I learned some cool stuff.
Yeah, see, one of them started working there. Maybe it was Tex, but one of them kind of worked there as a ranch hand, and that's how they got the foot in the door and got in.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it was Tex, but it was somebody they knew, I think, worked there. And
God, and they would go to dumpsters to get produce from restaurants and stuff. Oh God.
Right. Yeah. I was trying to think of Spawn's first name. I can't think of his first name right now.
I know. I saw it today and I was just like, that's his name. Let me see, because.
But you can still go down there, and there's, if you go down toward around the back of Spawn Ranch, there's a rocky sort of outcrop where they took a picture and carved a bunch of names. That's all still there. It's part of the park, even. Did
they name the park for the victims that were hit? What's the park's name?
I forget.
I
forget what it's called. No, they didn't name it for Sharon Tate or anything like that.
None of that, yeah.
Yeah, because no, they didn't get busted. They got busted there, but that was for car theft. Oh. So the cops did come there. The cops came after the murders.
George. His name was George Spawn. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
George. Okay.
But the cops raided Spawn Ranch after the murders, and they were all paranoid. They thought they were getting busted for it, but it was for auto theft. And they all got rounded up and went into jail for auto theft.
Oh, they okay.
They were stealing cars and turning them into dune buggies.
There were some pretty girls too. I forget. I don't know. Was Tex decent looking?
Yes, Tex was an All-American football player, and that was the thing. Tex's dad back in Texas had his own service station, gas station.
Mm-hmm.
So Tex grew up around working on cars.
Mm-hmm.
So Tex was an excellent mechanic. So they would steal these cars, and then Tex would hot rod them and stuff. because he knew what he was doing. That's
Oh.
why they kept texting her. Charlie's got a, you got to be some use to Charlie somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Tex, it was because he was a mechanic. And yeah, he was like 6'3", 6'2", or something, very athletic. He'd been an All-American football player at Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus, these people all could have had futures. Right down to Charlie with music, whatever it could have ended up doing. Like, it is a sad ending.
But Tex was not streetwise at all. He was very much a country yokel, and he just got in over his head big time in L.A.
Yeah.
He sure did. Bobby's another guy that was a real pretty boy. And see, Leslie Van Houten, that's Bobby's girl. That's another girl that's not really one of Charlie. That's one of Bobby's girls.
So they would respect each other's, like, if that's your girl, that's my girl. They kind of would respect that from each other.
I don't think so, but that's the way Manson put it. I mean, I'm sure Manson got some of it,
Yeah.
just as part of, you're at the ranch.
Right.
But as far as, hanging out with her, because she's a lot prettier. If you look at Leslie, especially when they were younger.
Yeah.
And Charlie said something about pretty girls that she's too pretty for me or something like that.
Wow.
And
Charlie said that? Is that what he said?
Yeah. He said something to that effect.
Huh.
That Leslie, that's Bobby's girl. She's too pretty for me or something.
Wow.
But Bobby, there's interviews with him, and he made a few record albums and musical albums in prison and did some artwork.
That's part of my video. They stopped that. I guess I'm just going to talk in it. It's a bunch of his artwork. It's beautiful.
Yeah, he does a really kind of.
I couldn't believe it. I have the video, but I'm gonna just have to talk instead of play the music and maybe just call him Charlie in it. I'll figure it out because I was like, they got to see this artwork. It's beautiful.
And not only that, I don't know if you know this, but like the very early sort of synthesized sounds that you would have, and I can't remember like what they would be on. Mm-hmm. But like the company would be oh crap, I can't remember. But Bobby Beausoleil created those in prison and sold those. He got the patent on these, like sounds when you push a button on a phone or something, little sounds or MIDI sounds for music.
Yeah.
Where they have a synthesizer, and you push like piano or something.
Right.
Bobby Beausoleil, he invented a couple of those, or more than a couple. But thing about Bobby is he actually killed somebody. So he's not like Manson that didn't kill anybody. He killed Gary Hidman. Flat out killed Gary Hidman.
Jesus.
So he's a murderer.
So other than, maybe beating up people or pistol whipping them, like Charlie never legit murdered anyone?
Not to my knowledge. The guy who has no blood on his hands. Because he cut Hidman's ear off, but he left. And it was hours and hours before Bobby didn't know what else to do and ran that sword through him. And I think he might have shot him too.
Wow.
And then they found, he stabbed him because they found the bloody knife in Gary's car. Because Bobby took off in Gary's car. A Volkswagen Carmen Ghia, if you know what those look like.
What car?
A Volkswagen Carmen Ghia.
No, I never even heard of that.
Like what Columbo used to drive. You ever watch Columbo?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Bobby's he's the saddest part of that whole thing to me. Because he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He just got wrapped up with Manson. He's a guy, and that's what Tex tries to say happened to him, but it didn't. But that is what happened to Bobby. He's a nice guy. He just fell into with Manson, and because Manson's a straight up thug.
Just a bad case of the wrong.
He's a straight up criminal. He's got a criminal mind. When you think criminology, man, they're talking about Manson. That's how he thinks on everything.
Yeah. They did ask him a simple question, and he looked at, what's that guy's name? Is it Graham Norton? What was that interview? Was it Graham?
Tom Snyder?
Tom Snyder. And he looked at Tom and he's like, dude, my brain, I'm institutionalized. You don't want to know my opinion. Like, he's very honest about it, but yeah, you don't want to know my opinion. I'm institutionalized.
My brain's bigger than this cell.
Yeah, somebody said he had a higher than normal IQ, and then I did look it up, and this was when they first did it. He was 109, yet they deemed him like basically an illiterate, antisocial.
Yes, he's got a much higher than average IQ.
Yep.
And then you lock him up for years and years for 23 and a half hours a day.
Ugh.
And that's when you come up with this, when he's later in life, that his interviews are amazing. Because he's not stupid. He's smarter than most people.
Oh, my God. I could listen to him forever. I'm serious. I could listen to him for a long time.
And then he has all this time to think, and he doesn't read a bunch of books, so he's not influenced by all these other people. He'll tell you, what do I need a book for? I got my own thoughts. What do I want to read some other man's thoughts?
Yeah.
I got my own.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was brilliant.
Yeah, he was definitely, it sucks, like, raised by wolves, you know?
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah. Raised by wolves. Because somebody said to him, "Well, who raped that?" I think it was. It wasn't the dot. It wasn't. It wasn't. Did Connie Chung also interview him? Because I don't think he liked her interview. If I'm not.
He said convicts raised me. He said I didn't have parents. Convicts raised me.
And you know who else he said? Then when he did this last interview, he said the vets, when they came back from the war, that's who raised me. They showed me how to be a man and do what you got to do. And,
taught me how to box.
It was unreal, the stuff I have all the respect in the world for them.
You see, he's not lying to you when he says stuff like that.
No, he's not.
That's what he did. That's where he learned about life, was these old guys that had been in the war, and then they end up in prison after 1945.
Yeah.
And they don't adjust once they come back from the war, and they're in prison. And that's who he's talking about. That's who taught him about life.
Yeah, he watched them, he said, and that's how I learned to survive, and how to be a man, you know. I don't know. Maybe he tried.
What did you see? He made the comment, one of the first places he went was a Catholic home in Indiana, in Terre Haute, Indiana, when he was about 10 years old. And he ran away from there. What was I going to say? I don't know. He said they were a bunch of old women, the priest. Damn it, I forgot what I was going to say.
Shit, what the hell were we just talking about?
I don't know, but he went there when he was 10.
Right.
And he was telling Geraldo,
with his schooling. Let me see if I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and he's telling Geraldo, I know what I was going to say.
Okay.
It wasn't there, it was somewhere else that he went, that he went in like the first day or whatever. And when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And the guards beating him and shit in front of all the other kids.
Oh.
He said, I didn't even do anything. I go, why is this dude beating me?
Oof.
And he said he figured out later that it was to set an example to the other kids.
Oh, wow.
That don't go acting funny, because this is what's going to happen.
Right.
And I don't know if that's true, but that's what he was like. He got kind of treated like a scapegoat.
Right.
Because he's smaller than the other guys, you know. And
Yeah,
especially at that age, he's
and
not.
God, as he got older, Jesus, John, he looks. I mean, he was such a scrawny little thing. He like a little elf.
Yeah, he's only about 5'5" or something.
Just
Not
like a
very big.
little elf.
And he said when he got
Are
busted,
you feared here? And he looked at him like, do I look like I should be feared? I'll be afraid of my mind. He told him, be afraid of my mind. But yeah, I'm old. My fighting days are over. Something funny.
yeah, he used to smack Sadie around all the time. Susan Atkins. He'd smack her around.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yeah, out there at the ranch. Yeah, he'd smack her around. I forget who said that. Maybe she did. But she's a liar. When you watch her interviews, man, you can't. Boy, she's a liar.
This is Sadie we're talking about?
Yeah, Susan Atkins.
I know that she was something. I don't know. I read that because Kathleen just did a very short excerpt on her, because then I think I don't know if Kathleen got scared and never came back, or if Susie told her like that's enough. Like she wouldn't leave her cell, so they would allow Kathleen to just put a chair outside the cell and talk to her. But she, like, the questions that she agreed she would answer for Kathleen, she went off on her own tangent. So I think, you know, I don't think it went as well.
Yeah, she's a really, because it's really those three. It's Susie, it's Patricia Krenwinkel, and Tex. Those are the three that did those two murders. The 2 nights in a row. Yeah. It was Tex.
Yeah, I have it here.
Manson wasn't at either location. He was at the LaBianca's before that.
Before that it was, yeah.
He supposedly tied him up.
Yeah. But
then he left with Leslie, I think. No, Leslie was there because Leslie went in and she got convicted of stabbing a corpse.
Is that what she got? Is that what the tampering? Hi, FN. Thanks, hon. Is that what that was? Because I was like, what is that for? Oh, so who did someone tamper like with Sharon with the fetus? Well, I hope not.
I don't think they didn't cut. I don't think they did anything.
Okay.
It was Katie Krenwinkel that carved war in LaBianca's chest and then stuck that carving fork in his chest. That was Katie that did that.
Krenwinkel did that?
Yeah.
Oof, Jesus.
That was Katie. Katie's vicious. Katie had that condition, according to, I believe it's Charlie himself. She had that condition where you grow a woman grows an abnormal amount of hair on her body like a man.
Mm-hmm. Really? So she have high levels of testosterone?
Well, like in the old days, she would have been like the bearded lady or something in a circus freak show.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she was like that. And so she was very, very insecure and self-conscious. And she said that Charlie was the first one that ever told her she was beautiful, and it blew her mind.
Oh, wow.
And Charlie was just wanting to, he was just wanting to hit it once. That's all he was trying to do.
But he never hit it with Sadie, you don't think, right?
Oh, yeah, he did.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Oh, yeah, he's banged all of them at one time or another.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You think it was a fight every night, like who gets Charlie tonight?
No, it didn't go like that.
Okay. Or do you think a lot of the girls were like crazy about Tex?
Later, when the murders happened, it was Sadie and Tex that were together, and the reason they were together.
Wow. Okay.
Then the reason they were together was because Charlie banned drugs, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And he considered drugs like speed and stuff like that. He wasn't talking about mushrooms and weed and LSD. He didn't consider those drugs. but he didn't like methamphetamine, and
Mhm.
ecstasy was a new thing on the scene. And well, Susie liked speed, and
Oh.
she had a little big vial of methamphetamine,
Oh
and
boy.
she turned Tex onto it, and then they became speed freaks.
Oh, that's a scary combination.
And see, they had to do that on the down low out there at Spawn, because you would have been out of there if Charlie found out you had that speed in there.
Right.
And so they were doing that on the down low for a long time. And he was all cranked up on meth when he did the murders.
Tex was?
Huh?
Tex was all cranked up?
Yeah. He was also on...
because I'm reading it here now, but it doesn't really.
There's a famous picture of Tex.
Mm-hmm.
Either the day of the murders or maybe it must be the day after the murders. He got his shirt off.
Mm-hmm.
It's there at Spawn Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, because he, and I'm not going to be able to think of the name of the damn root that he ate. But
What did he eat? The what?
Well, something that Charlie learned from the Indians. It's one of these psychoactive roots.
Oh,
And
okay.
Sadie dug it up and trimmed it down, and Tex ate it. It starts with a B. Starts with a B. You can't. Damn it.
And is it like a hallucinogenic root?
Yeah. It's a real nasty. It's a 3-day trip.
Oh gee. Oh God. Who needs that?
And so he was taking methamphetamine, and then she cut up that root and he ate it.
Ugh.
And then he went over there. And that's why those murders at the Tate house.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's such mayhem. And it was so crazy and everything, is because Tex was out of his mind. He was high as hell. And that's why they took that picture of him the next day. And you can see him. He's still all wired up. You can see it in his face. And it's like the very next day. I
gotta look for that. I gotta see those pictures.
Yeah, it's in the Helter Skelter book, I'm pretty sure. Where he's standing there on one of those old porches at Spawn Ranch, who's got his shirt off. I can just see it now in my head. And his hair's all wiry, and his eyes are just wide open. It's some kind of root, man. Not Belanga root, but belladonna.
Oh, geez, we use that in the nursing homes.
Yeah, belladonna root.
Oh yeah, that'll make you happy. That'll make you see things.
Yeah, she whittled it down to like a little 1/4-inch cube, per what the Indians told him, or told Charlie. And right. Tex ate that, and he was out of it, man. Plus doing that methamphetamine.
Jesus.
So when he went over there to the Tate house, which was just going to be a robbery, that's all it was going to be, because they got word that I believe it was 1,000 hits of ecstasy was going to be there, and the people that were going to buy it were going to be there, and they had like 10 grand in cash. So the money and the dope were going to be there at the same time,
right?
Up there at the Tate house.
Yeah.
Charlie got wind of it. Tex, you owe me for the Lots of Popsicle thing, right?
Yeah.
I bailed you out. I kept you from that Black Panther from cutting your guts out. Go up there and get that money and that dope. That's how that went.
Wow.
And so Tex went up there with Susie and Krenwinkel, and it was supposed to just, hey, stick them up. And you just, you point the guns in the face and they give you the money and the dope. That's how it was supposed to go. But it didn't. Because Tex pointed that gun in that dude's face. And have you ever heard that quote, what he said?
I don't know.
He sneaks in the window at the Tate house. A dude's asleep on the couch. I forget which one. But the dude's asleep on the couch. And Tex sticks his gun in this dude's face. And the dude wakes up. And he goes, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And Tex says, "I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business."
Oof. That's scary, isn't it?
He broke that pistol on that dude's head.
What?
It was the pistol that he just shot Stephen Parent with about less than 5 minutes before, down on the driveway. He smacked that dude in the head. And now all hell broke loose, man.
Right. Yeah.
Because those people were fighting back. That's the thing. See, they were running and fighting back and stuff.
Jeez, these people were, it's the wild, wild west.
And that's why the next night, when Tex heard how all that, like Abigail Folger running out in the yard, and Tex fighting with that dude, whoever the big guy was there at the Tate house, Rojahowski. He's fighting with that dude. It was Jay Sebring, I believe, he shot dead on the couch. And that's when Charlie said, I'll show you how it's done. And now Charlie will deny this, but Tex said it, and I believe Leslie said it too. But they went to Charlie went with him to the LaBianca's house the next night, and he tied him up, see. He went in real calmly, like he went in by himself. Charlie did. And Leo and Rosemary LaBianca are there. Charlie goes in with a gun or something. And he says, look, I'm not going to hurt you. Well, who knows what he said, but it's that kind of thing where he got their hands tied. And Charlie told, I believe it was Geraldo. It might have been Snyder, but he showed him that knot that he tied. He goes, that's how you know I tied that. On those hands, he said, go look at the police report. Because I tie that knot. Tex don't tie knots. It's a special knot that he tied.
Yeah.
Then he goes back out in the car and he tells Tex, okay, what he told Tex, I don't know. Tex said he told him to go in there and kill him, whether he did or not, I don't know. But Charlie drove off with somebody. Linda Kasabian, maybe. I don't know who the girl was. But that's how they...
went back into the LaBianca's house? Is that what you said?
Yeah. He comes back out in the car and he tells them, okay, go in there. So I guess it would have been Leslie, Susan, and Tex. Yeah. But there was another girl in the car that he left with. He wasn't by himself when he left.
Let's see.
And they still...
Yeah, it says Manson took Watkins, Atkins, Krenwinkel, and Kasabian, as well as Van Houten and Stephen Clem Grogan.
Clem got out too.
In search of more people to murder, and they selected LaBianca's home. After Manson tied the couple up and robbed them, he left with Atkins, Kasabian, and Grogan. Watson, Van Houten, and Krenwinkel remained, and acting on orders from Manson, stabbed the couple to death. Yeah, leaving words written in blood on the walls.
Yeah, it was Leslie and Patty that were, or Katie, whatever you want to call her. They were the ones that got. And see, Katie struggled with Rosemary, and Tex had to come in there and finish her off. And she was already dead. And according to Tex, Charlie had said, make sure everybody gets blood on their hands, so you can't be snitching or something because you're part of it, right?
Right.
So he, that's when Tex told Leslie to stab Rosemary. And she ended up stabbing her like just superficially, not real deeper. And she was already dead. And that's why Leslie, I don't think she maybe got convicted of murder. I guess she did. But she didn't kill anybody. She should have been convicted of mutilating a corpse.
Which one, Leslie?
Leslie Van Houten. They talked about letting her out. I don't know if she's dead or she's got to be pushing 80.
Oh, yeah. I just saw her. Okay, so Leslie.
Leslie's not the least bit evil. They should have let her out a long time ago.
So Manson, Watson, Atkins, Krenwinkel, and Van Houten, they were sentenced to death. And then the death penalty was abolished. So
yeah.
So okay.
And Bobby got the death penalty in a different trial. See, Tex had his own trial and Bobby had his own trial. But Charlie and the three girls got tried together. Tex got tried.
That all happened then. What So that happened in 71? When did that
Yeah,
happen?
the
71?
murders were August of 69. They got
Okay.
arrested in December of 69.
And the trial went on then in 70 what? Like 1 or 4?
It must have started sometime in 1970. I know it carried on, I think, into 71.
Because, yeah, even with them arrested and put away, it says Mary Brunner, so that was his wife, the woman that had his second child, Catherine Gypsy Scher, Dennis
Yeah.
Rice, Charles Lovett, Larry Bailey, and Kenneth Como raided Army surpluses in Southeast LA. They stockpiled weapons, holding customers hostage. They became embroiled in a shootout in which Brunner and Scher being both wounded. They believed their ultimate plan was to hijack a plane in order to ransom the captives for the release of their imprisoned family members. Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Gypsy Scher is another one that Catherine Scher, she's another one that she tells all kinds of stories. And so you never know what's true because she's all over the place. And Mary Brunner, I don't think ever talked.
She didn't. I did read that she won't talk.
There was interviews of her at the time in like 70 that you could see, especially one where she's going to the courthouse. Very interesting interview with her on the street.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So wait, who's Alonzo?
Alonzo.
Alonzo.
Some of those guys like Kenneth Como and stuff, these are guys that the girls fell in with after Manson.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Here it is afterwards.
They're criminals. They're kind of white power guys. That's all after Manson when they
they kind of coupled up after Manson was gone. They became like couples, like people like squeaky.
Yeah, they did some criminal stuff there for a while.
They were doing some
I still haven't heard the guy's name I was thinking of, the little short guy.
Maybe I'll find it here as I'm reading.
He sat out on the sidewalk with them and sang songs. He's in the courthouse with the girls when they. He's a supporter.
He was he wasn't one of them, but he supported, like he was a sympathizer.
Well, he was, but he wasn't at the murders or anything.
Right.
But he was with them even out in the desert. They stayed at Spawn Ranch, and then when they went in the desert, that was Barker Ranch.
What was the other ranch?
Barker. And there's only very, very few of the hardcore went out to Barker Ranch.
Okay, so Liz Stewart said, was Terry Melcher the name you're looking for?
No, he's the producer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's is it Doris Day's son? Or Dinah Shore?
There was something in here about Doris Day.
Yeah, Terry Melcher's Doris Day's son. And Terry Melcher was the one he was a producer for the Beach Boys. He was the one that was supposed to give Charlie the $5,000 for that song. He's the one that had previously lived in the Tate Polanski house, but had moved out 3 or 4 months before that.
So that's why they kept going there, right?
That's why Bugliosi says that Manson went there to kill Melcher, and Melcher wasn't there. He didn't know that Melcher moved, but that's a crock of shit. He went there. He went there to steal that ecstasy and that $10,000. That's why he went there. And man, Bugliosi knows that.
What do you think of him? Because I want to read the book with everybody. So what do you think of the book? Is he fair at all in it?
No, it's pure crapola. It's a narrative that he came up with, and the reason I believe that he came up with it was because he wanted to put Manson behind bars, and the only way you could do it is with this conspiracy thing. And so I wish I could remember that kid's name that Manson told the Helter Skelter story to, but he used that guy as his key witness for that. And
it wasn't Donald Shea, was it?
No. Shay's a victim.
Okay. Okay.
This kid was a musician and sang songs, and he even had a partnership with a guy after that. They were like a duo, and he was a mayor of Inyo, California. I know that,
He
which
was a
has
mayor?
about
Okay.
it has about 100 people. I can't remember his name.
I wish I could. I'm looking through my stuff in case. Let me see if anybody else knows.
It's been a while. I meant to kind of look through that stuff before we popped on tonight, but I didn't.
Yeah, there's so much too. Once you get into, oh God.
Oh, there is. I mean, you got to sift through so much.
Yeah, Liz, we're gonna read the book. I'm gonna start reading Helter Skelter, but I want it tonight to just kind of. There's just so many. There's just so many players in this book, and like who's alive, who's dead. So I thought tonight was a good night, and John is really good on all this all the Manson stuff. So that's kind of why we did this tonight.
Well, see, Vince Bugliosi will tell you that the DA that wrote the book, that Manson and stuff, they did this because they're under his control, that he's got this mind control, that he's giving them LSD and then he's manipulating them. And they committed these murders for him because he was after Terry Melcher. Vincent never gives any explanation for the LaBianca murders, other than maybe they were copycat. He never does explain those. But he'll say the first ones are because Manson was after Melcher and because he owed him money.
Oh, wow. And Downtown said Melcher lived with Candace Bergen. Jesus.
Yeah, see, Candace Bergen, believe it or not, how about this? Candace Bergen was 15. And in either late 67 or early 68, she had a note from her mother in case because she was running around in the bus with the Mansons. And she had a note in case they got pulled over by the cops.
That it was okay?
Yeah, that she had permission from her mom and stuff.
Oh,
that's a true story right there.
That's nuts.
Because they even, and the reason it's true, like some people might call bullshit on that, but Candace Bergen rode around with the Mansons, and it's true because if you watch Seinfeld, I think it's the last episode of Seinfeld.
What do they say?
They spoof the Manson thing.
Oh, yeah.
Kramer gets on this bus with all these crazies, and Candace Bergen's in that episode.
I'm going to have to watch it now.
Where they treat Kramer like he's Manson.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That's
you
right.
got all the wisdom, dude. You know everything, man. You know all the ways of the world. Yeah. But, it's a drug deal. It was an armed robbery that Tex fucked up because he's a yokel from Texas and doesn't know what he's doing. And he was very, very, very high when he did it. He shot Stephen Parent, the kid that was in the car. The kid had been, there was a guest house and he was visiting a kid back there and he was just leaving. He drove down the driveway and was going to open the gate to leave. And Tex walks over there and shoots him in the face. There was no reason for it.
He was just a loose cannon.
Yeah, he was, like I said, he was really high. And he was out of control, man. And Charlie gets blamed for that. And that's why Manson's so bitter.
But did Charlie and Tex put on a front that they got along?
Tex was already in the doghouse with Charlie.
Oh, okay.
I forget what he did, but I he had been working on cars at first for the whole time, but then something happened. I don't remember what, but something happened. He pissed Charlie off, and Charlie had him cleaning stables. He's cleaning up the horse shit in the stable. Yeah. Yeah, he got fed up with Tex. Tex he'd disappear for long periods of time, and he was he liked drugs. And Charlie was a no, believe it or not, Manson is a no drugs kind of guy. And so that's what Texas probably was.
Oh, wow. So he was like, other than like your psychedelics, he was not heroin, cokehead.
Yeah, he do coke. I don't know if he ever did heroin.
I never knew
that. They were all, the late 60s, you had that pharmaceutical grade methamphetamine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they were doing instead of coke. And there's a lot of people in the 60s.
Oh,
Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones, he's another guy that was on that methamphetamine real bad. It makes you paranoid.
Right.
And all this kind of thing. And that's how Tex was.
I said, you can dig up that fun to hang out with.
Yeah, if you dig up that picture, and you'll see
him. Yeah.
And you could probably even try like Tex Watson the day after the murders or something, because he just looks. You can tell he's wired. He is wired up on something. Man, he hit everybody, shot everybody, hacked everybody up.
Jesus.
They went down the street and around the corner, and he washed his hands off in a guy's hose at a guy's house. And the guy even came out and yelled at him. Said, "Hey, what the fuck you doing, you know?" And Tex said, "I'll just getting a drink." But that guy had no idea how close he was to getting it.
Jeez, that's scary.
And then they threw their clothes over the cliff, but those got found by a reporter months later. The cops never did find it. It was a reporter that found them.
So do you think it was the Wilson brothers that got Charlie to get kind of hobnobbing with Hollywood people?
Yeah, it was Dennis.
Yeah.
Not Brian. Brian and those guys did not like Manson. They only, to my knowledge, Brian only met Manson maybe once or twice. And I heard the other guy from the Beach Boys, and he was saying that, no, we knew right away that, and they were telling Dennis, get rid of this guy. He's bad news. So they all knew that this guy's a criminal, But Dennis was all enamored with the singing and the guitar and all the chicks. He liked all the girls. Was Dennis's thing.
That was Dennis's thing, yeah.
And so it wasn't literally Brian. It was Dennis that when he picked up Katie, and I don't know who the other girls. It wasn't Leslie or Susan. It was one of the other ones. Yeah. They moved in there, and that's when he started meeting people. Like he met Frank Zappa and people like that.
Oh, he did?
He met the Buffalo Springfield, which was later became Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. You'll hear him mention the Buffalo
somebody
Springfield.
else too. Oh God, who is it? The one that having sex with his daughter. Oh goodness, John Phillips was good friends with.
John who?
John, Phillips, Mamas and the Papas. The Mamas. Yeah, he was good friends with Brian and Dennis. And then the night that all this went down, Brian came to his house and right around then, and he literally told him, I can't let you in my house. Like, my kids are here and I don't want you to come here anymore. And he does a good interview on it, John Phillips. I'll have to find it, but he basically said he felt like he was evil. It couldn't have been John. It couldn't have been Manson that showed up at his door. It was either Dennis or Brian. It was when all that happened, and he just said he got the scariest feeling. And he told me, you can't come here anymore, and I don't want you around my family, which is crazy. And then all that happened.
Yeah, there's people that will tell you that Manson, that a lot more people in Hollywood knew Manson that care to admit.
Yeah.
And since he had through the 70s and the 80s, he's had such a bad rep that people don't want to say, yeah, I knew him and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, he people in LA knew who he was. They sure did. They knew he was that crazy guy that hung out with Dennis Wilson.
I mean, if you hung out with Dennis Wilson, I mean, they were the Mamas and the Papas and the Beach Boys. They were tight, right?
Yeah, the Buffalo Springfield. That's another one. Those LA bands. That's Neil Young, and you'll hear him mention he hates the Buffalo Springfield. I forget what they did to piss him off, but he mentions them more than once in those interviews. Inciting people to violence, like in their song.
Yeah.
In their songs, they might be telling people to rise up, and do this and that. And Charlie's like, "What about? How come I get blamed for all this shit? I don't say that in my music. That's Buffalo Springfield." They'll say stuff like that.
So Atkins died in prison in 2009. Van Houten was denied parole recently. Krenwinkel became the longest-serving female inmate in California. Davis was approved parole in June 2019, but his release will likely be blocked by the governor. And Tex Watson, it said male followers Tex Watson and Bruce Davis remain in prison, but I don't know if this is like how.
Yeah, Clem got out.
Yeah,
the guy named Clem got out.
This might be from like 24.
Well, he got out a long time ago.
So Tex is still in jail?
Yeah, Tex ain't getting out. Tex got married and got 4 kids in jail, and he's divorced now.
I saw that. I was like, oh, good, he got married. Just what we need.
They changed the law because of Tex Watson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's having conjugal visits, and he ended up with 4 kids.
Isn't that
4
great?
Kids, 4 kids from that monster, man.
That's what we need.
Right.
That's insane.
It's obviously bad DNA,
Yeah, I mean, what these women that go for these lifers. Oh.
So they did change the law. But see, he had to get extradited. He was in California in Texas till, I think, 71 maybe. But they had to extradite him back to California to stand trial. So he stood trial later.
Mm-hmm. So they all had to stand trial then in California.
Yeah. And the Manson, he should have never been. See, they went through a whole pretrial thing to get them all tried together. They shouldn't have been tried together.
Mm-hmm.
When have we ever seen 4 defendants in a murder trial?
Oh, Jesus.
You know what I mean?
Right. No.
And so you had 4 defendants in one trial. Manson and the 3 girls. And Manson's lawyer was like, "This is ridiculous. You got to break this up."
Yeah, that's nuts.
And they wouldn't. The judge wouldn't do it.
Did the same judge hear all of them, though?
Yeah, but Manson's, I don't know if you knew it, but their defense attorney wound up missing. There was a break in the trial, and the dude never came back, and they found him in a river. Like weeks later. Yeah. So they almost had a mistrial because of that, because his attorney's missing and he's dead. There was rumors.
That's a problem.
There was rumors, that the Manson family killed him or something, but they didn't. The dude was hiking or something, and he was up there in the hills, and he slipped and fell or something.
So did Manson get a public attorney, like a private, or did he have a public defendant?
You know what? I don't know who replaced that guy.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah, so I'll write that. I'm wondering that.
Yeah, keep an eye out for that. See who replaced the guy that is probably some guy did it for free that wanted the publicity but the judge wouldn't let Manson testify. And that's a fact, and it's ridiculous.
Wouldn't let him?
Nope.
Is that illegal? Should that be illegal?
Manson says it isn't.
It's legal. Not illegal?
Manson says that it's illegal.
I thought it's illegal.
He said they wouldn't let me testify at my own trial because you have a right to testify.
They were going to let Lori Vallow, who killed both her children, and she said no, but they gave her I thought that was a right.
Yeah, you have a right not to testify.
Either way, yeah, she didn't want to, but they gave her the option.
But your lawyer can call you as a witness in your own trial.
Yeah.
And the judge used some motion and said, no, you can't. And Manson said, I could have told you what happened. But the judge wouldn't let me take the stand. I would have told you from the stand exactly what happened.
It's too bad they didn't try to. I don't know. Did they try to ever appeal anything with him? Or was he just like, I'm all right, I'm good here?
There's going to be an automatic appeal on a death penalty.
Oh, true, yeah.
But then it got overturned shortly after that. And Manson takes credit for that, too. He says there's no way because I didn't do anything wrong. God knows I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And so you almost sent an innocent man to the gas chamber, and I told you, and he did say it in the courtroom, it ain't never going to happen. And then it never happened. So that's another one of those where he gets like credit for being prophetic, you know?
Yeah.
People that want to believe that kind of thing.
So the girls, they each had their own trial?
No, they were all tried with Manson.
So everybody had their own lawyer?
All four of them, they had one lawyer.
Jesus Christ, this all seems like such a shady.
I
don't know.
Now they may have had, because none of them got any money, except Leslie, and I think Leslie did have her own attorney, but he's just counseling her. He's not questioning witnesses and that type of thing. That was their lead attorney that they had, the one that came up missing. Guy's got a big bushy beard and mustache.
Yeah.
I don't know his name, but that's what he looks like. And as I recall, Leslie did, her parents hired an attorney. But like I said, he's just, telling her, making sure her rights don't get stomped on.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
An interview with one of the other, with actually one of the, I wasn't say, it's one of them. She's ugly. She's got like a pointy face. She's in jail. She's just trying to say she's sorry, and she can never say she's sorry enough. I don't think it's Sadie.
It's probably Katie.
It had to be Katie then. I'm looking at her. I don't. She could say she's sorry till she's blue in the face. She just has an evil look about her.
Oh yeah, she's evil. She's the one that.
That's her then.
She's the one that chased Abigail Folger with a butcher knife out to the yard and was stabbing her in the back while she was running.
Jesus.
And when you see the picture of Abigail Folger laying there, she was wearing like a white nightgown, and it looks red because it's completely drenched in blood. And it looks like a red looks like a red nightgown. It isn't. It's white.
Oh, that's scary.
And I think and see that have you seen the pictures of the crime scene at the Tate house?
Yeah, I just started printing them out, and then I was like, all right. I got to the part with the, the word pig on blood on the door, and I was like, you know what, I'll hold off on that.
Well, see, there's rafters in that living room, and Tex tied a rope up around one of the rafters and then around Sharon Tate's neck. Jesus. So even though she's laying on the floor, he's got her head up off the floor because he's got it in a noose. There's a picture of it like that.
They put Sharon in a noose?
Yeah, up over these nice rafters in this old house. It's a really nice house up there, man.
The house is beautiful.
And I forget who originally built that. Somebody famous, though.
It is somebody famous. Oh, shoot, I read it, too. Damn it.
Some woman. And he wrapped the ropes, and she was cut open and stabbed a bunch of times. And her hairdresser, Jay Sebring, he's the one that invented the feathered hair look. The feathered haircut?
Yeah.
That's Jay Sebring invented that. He got killed that night.
Right, he was Sharon's friend, the famous hairdresser. That's right.
Right. And Charlie will tell you, when you say innocent victims, Charlie will remind you that Jay Sebring was a fucking drug dealer to the stars. That his hair salon was just a front because Steve McQueen got his hair cut there and a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
And Charlie said it's just a front, man. They're getting their hair cut, yeah, but they're buying dope too. He's like, I don't want to hear that these people are innocent. They're fucking criminals. They're dealing drugs and shit.
I wonder so Roman wasn't allowed to come back to the country. Was that after Sharon died? And was he able to come back for her funeral, you think?
Yeah, he came back right after that, the next day.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Because there's an interview of him outside the house with the door where Susie or Katie had painted on the door, and he's out there talking about it. I've seen that interview before. He came back the very next day or a day or two after that, because they were shooting the movie Carrie, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
You remember that movie Carrie?
Yeah.
He was shooting Carrie over in England or something, or it was a premiere or something. Something to do with that movie, though.
I always thought he was just...
Yeah, he's weird.
Very weird.
And then Sharon Tate...
Just pervy weird.
She was in an episode of Batman. You can go watch that.
She was... Sharon Tate was just beautiful.
And there's a video of her jumping on a trampoline.
God. How much younger was she than him?
Oh, she couldn't have been... I don't know. She wasn't very old when she died.
Yeah.
She's like their age, the girl's age, so she's early 20s.
Ugh. She never got to live.
But
it's a shame. It's a shame when they interview her sister. Anytime any of the girls' paroles or anything comes up, her family is there, and man, they are hurt, and it's so sad.
Yeah, see, Geraldo asked Manson. He said something like, "What do you think about the family showing up at your parole hearings? You know, what do you think about that, Charlie? To make sure they keep you behind bars?" And Manson said, "Well, Sharon Tate's mother doesn't show up because Sharon Tate's mother knows I didn't kill her daughter. She knows that Tex killed her. She shows up at all Texas parole hearings, not mine."
Wow.
And so that right there, see. That's a stone cold fact that Manson haters can't deny. Sharon Tate's mother does not go to Manson's parole hearings because he didn't kill her daughter. She don't give a fuck about Charles Manson. Tex Watson killed her daughter.
Wow, that's bizarre.
So that's just one way in my mind that I know that Manson didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Sharon Tate's mom knows he didn't do it.
Yeah.
She goes to Katie Greenwinkle's, though.
Yeah, they'll go to the girls, and that I only saw about going to the girls, but I never knew that they didn't go to Charlie's. Wow.
Yeah, that's what he told Geraldo anyway.
I believe it.
And he told Geraldo, go check it out or something. He doesn't lie about stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know he's telling the truth.
He says it in that one interview. He's like, "Hey, I'm here. I ain't got nothing to lie about. What's my lie gonna help me with? Nothing. I'm here. I'm stuck. What you're gonna get is the truth. It ain't always pretty. It's usually ugly, but that's who I am." And it's like, yeah, I believe you.
Well, he's very clever at not actually lying. But at the same time, not accusing anybody. He's very clever.
Not a snitch, because he loves to say he's not a snitch, but he isn't. He's not.
Yeah. In that one interview, he says, "I got 50 years in a joint with no snitching on my jacket. You want to follow that act?" Or something like that. He said.
Yes, because when he asked him if he's afraid of walking in the halls, he's like, "Afraid of who? What? I have done not one thing anywhere that would make me afraid to walk any hall." And it's like, that dude, you look in his eyes, he's not afraid. You believe him. Obviously he didn't screw people over or lie or.
He can't.
Yeah,
You start
it is
doing
what
that in
it
prison,
is. Yeah, it is what it is.
I mean, he lived that long in prison. It's not because he's stupid.
Right.
He survived in there somehow. With people trying to kill him, they were talking about that Harry Christian had dumped kerosene on him and set him on fire. But that was later. I forget who asked me that. I guess it was Downtown Wonder asked me that. And I think Manson said the reason that happened is because that Harry Krishner was making all this noise up on the cell block,
Yeah.
and Manson told him to shut up or something, and Manson claimed he was God anyway or something like that. And this dude, I don't know where he got the kerosene, but he ended up tossing it on him and lighting it. Manson almost died from that. It fucked him all up.
Wow.
Got third-degree burns and stuff.
Jesus.
That was later when he was on. That's just a prison thing there. That didn't have. The guy asked me if it was the CIA or maybe that was Kevin. I guess it was Kevin that asked me that. And I don't think that was a. There's that whole talk about him being MK Ultra, the MK Ultra mind control thing.
Oh yeah.
And whether he's part of that CIA, because the CIA office was right there in LA, and at the time where they were doing mind control, they've been doing LSD mind control experiments and all this stuff. So there's all that narrative that Manson was part of that, but no, Manson's just a low-level criminal that got wind of 10 grand's a lot of money in 1969. That's a lot of money now, but that's a whole lot of money in 1969.
Oh, definitely.
And there's 10 grand going to be there in those 1,000 hits of ecstasy, and ecstasy was a new drug that Wojciechowski, the victim over there, the so-called innocent guy.
Yeah.
Well, he's a ecstasy importer from Canada. He's importing ecstasy in LA from Canada.
Oh,
That's why Manson says these people aren't innocent. Polanski's making underage porno films with Sharon. Wojciechowski's importing ecstasy in from Canada. What do you mean innocent? And Abigail Folger, I don't know what you can say about her. Come on. Other than that, she is a drug addict. She was that. But so anyway, he was, he got wind of that dope and that money was there, and that's Tex, you owe me. You owe me, Tex. Go get that money. This is your gig. Go get that money and that dope.
That is unbelievable to me.
It took me years to come to that conclusion, but to my mind, that's what happened. That's what Manson says happened. If you read between enough of the lines, And even Tex will say that, I went up there to rob somebody. I didn't go up there to kill anyone. Charlie talked me into it. They blame Charlie on this mind control thing.
Oh, really?
And see, nobody ever blamed Charlie. Interesting enough, nobody ever blamed Charlie until 5 years later when their first parole hearings came up. And they found out that to get let out on parole, you have to admit that you did wrong and that you have remorse. Or you're not getting out, right?
Right.
You're not going to say I killed Sharon Tate and I'm glad,
No,
I'm
right.
glad to be here. So that's what they started doing. When they found that out, their lawyers are telling them, hey, if you're going to get out of here, you're going to blame Charlie. And they've been blaming Charlie ever since. Since about 1975. But they never blamed Charlie before that. They said they did it themselves. Jesus. When they interviewed him and shit, they never said nothing about Charlie was controlling their mind and told them to do it and all that. They never said that. They got that from Bugliosi's book.
Oh, really?
So the girls went with the book from the narrative once their parole hearings came up, and so did Tex. Where they're like, yeah, we were just brainwashed. Charlie had us under his spell, he was controlling us, giving us drugs and stuff.
Right. So it says about Tex. So he's currently in Mule Creek State Prison in Sacramento, and he's converted to Christianity and became an ordained minister in '81. Oh, for the love of God!
Yeah, that's how he met his wife. Got 4 adult kids. Those kids got to be adult age by now.
Oh yeah, Jesus. And he's 77 now.
Yeah, only the good die young.
Yeah.
Manson was what, in his 80s, and now look at Tex and
yeah.
Susie. There's several interviews with her, even when she's in the hospital.
Yeah, she looked terrible too. Kasabian is 73.
Yeah, Linda Kasabian doesn't know anything. She just happened to be there. She was not. She was new to the scene.
Right. Never charged. What was she charged with? Immunity or given immunity for testimony?
Yeah. Right? Yeah, she didn't kill any. She didn't even go in the house anyway. But she was there.
Yeah, and I wrote that down with Charlie because they asked him about feeling sad or because of the loss, and he just said, "I've never showed remorse for actions that I didn't do."
Yeah, he says remorse for what? I'm responsible for my actions. They're responsible for their actions. Jesus. I didn't do it. Tex did it. Why am I remorseful for what Tex did?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. And he's like, you keep asking me to be remorseful, and I keep telling you I didn't do anything. And people don't want to believe that he didn't do anything. But he didn't do anything. I'm not saying that he didn't. He knew what was going to happen, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not the first night, but the second night he did.
Yeah.
And see, Bobby had already killed Gary. When these murders happened, the Tate LaBianca, when these murders happened, Bobby had already murdered Gary and was already in jail. And so the girls will tell you that that's why they wrote the stuff on the walls. The die piggies and political piggies.
I hated that whole pig. They were that Sexy Sadie was calling Kathleen Piggy.
Yeah, but see, that's what Bobby did. He went back in at Hinman's because he wanted to blame it on the Black Panthers. So that's why he painted those political slogans in blood on the wall. And so when they did that over at the Tate house, that was part of the idea. Was that look, we're going to show the cops that whoever killed Gary just came over here and killed Sharon Tate. It's the same MO, right? There's words on the wall. Okay, they were trying to prove to the cops that, hey, Bobby didn't do this. And you'll hear Manson saying, we were those people did what they did, talking about Tex. Those people did what they did to try to get a brother out of jail, talking about Bobby. And that's why they painted those slogans on there. So that they could say, look, man, Bobby didn't do this. Whoever did this is still out there. You got to get the real killer. You see what I'm saying? Like a copycat.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what they were doing there.
Wow.
That's why you had Bobby did it to try to frame the Black Panthers. Katie and Susie did it for the same reasons, but Bobby was already in jail. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're trying to make it look like the Panthers did this, not Bobby. And that makes more sense than a hippie guru cult leader that's brainwashed a bunch of kids into killing for it, which makes no sense.
Jesus Christ.
No, it went down just like that. Tex is evil, man. Katie Krenwinkel's even more evil.
So Krenwinkel and Tex, you think they were the two worst out of the crew?
Yeah.
You do?
Definitely. And Susie's right there, but I don't even think Susie stuck somebody first. But Katie sure did. The Tex did. But Katie flat out stabbed Abigail Folger.
So
And she
and Abigail, okay.
and she carved up Wojciechowski or LaBianca and stuck that war in his, Katie's the one that carved war in his chest and then stuck that fork in his. See, that's why they carved war in his chest. It's more framing the Black Panthers. It doesn't have anything to do with a race war.
So who wanted to try to make it race war? Tex or Charlie?
Bugliosi.
Okay.
That's Bugliosi's narrative.
Okay.
So when it says war on a guy's chest,
Mm-hmm.
you know, she carved. They're taking race war. No.
Yeah.
They're trying to frame the Black Panthers. And Charlie said, I told you all this. All you would have had to do is let me go on the stand, testify in my defense, and I would have told you all this. But you didn't.
Was he racist?
Charlie?
Mm-hmm.
He's not. I don't know. I've heard him say things like Hitler was trying to bring order into the world.
Mm-hmm.
You got to let the Second World War end. You know, you got to quit coming down on all this stuff. And so I don't know. I've never heard him. I don't know. He hung out with the Indians a lot.
Did Hell's Angels hang out with them?
No. He was straight. He was straight Satans.
Okay.
He'll tell you. I ride with the straight Satans.
So the straight Satans were like worse than the Hell's Angels?
No, they're just smaller.
Okay, because I got to look at
that name. You'll see a guy's name, Danny DiCarlo.
Okay.
And Danny DiCarlo was the biker that had a thing for one of the girls. I forget which one. One of the younger ones.
Mm-hmm.
And he was with her even after the whole Manson thing went down. Mm-hmm. They went on their own crime spree. Danny and this other. There's an interview with them on the couch where they're living together and they're talking about their Manson days. But Danny he's a biker and he's a rough dude that'd been in Vietnam. Oh. And he's the one that brought all the guns around. Manson had never been around guns other than like a gun you go hunting with up in the hills of Kentucky where he's from. Mm-hmm. But he never been around handguns and automatic weapons and shit, you know.
He wasn't around that.
Yeah, he wasn't into none of that stuff. And here comes Danny. And Danny's a gun guy. He's a gun runner for the bikers. That's what they were doing, was running guns. That was their racket. So he was buying and selling, stealing and selling guns all the time. Mm. And he said he said he'd never seen a guy like Manson. Once he turned him on to guns, he said Manson loved him. Wanted to shoot all the time. But Danny's a guy.
Did you say who's Eddie Ragsdale?
I don't know who that is exactly.
Wow. So this is a picture in 2012. It's a photograph of Charlie Manson and Eddie Ragsdale, sent by Charlie Manson to Manuel Vasquez during the week of August 12th. Who is this dude? They're holding two guitars. It looked like they were jamming out.
I don't know who that is.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah,
so he would get visitors, I guess, huh? He got visitors.
Yeah, he can have his guitar off and on. They take it from him, and
yeah, he was real mad at that interview with what's his face, because they're like, well, you know, he said what he said. Oh, it could cause havoc, you know, if everybody had a guitar. Charlie's like, that's bullshit. Music is my sanity, and they won't even let me have it or whatever.
It's how I communicate to God, he says.
Oh my God.
He's a character, man.
I'm going to have to figure out. I'll just read through that video I did. And maybe, I don't know what they didn't like about because I put Helter Skelter on this video, but it was like a bunch of things. And I'm like, geez, they don't want me talking about Charlie on YouTube, but also then too at the end it was a little bit of Helter Skelter playing. Maybe the Beatles too have like a rights on the song or something. I don't know. I don't know, but I'll fix it because it's Charlie's artwork.
Well, if you had
it's really beautiful.
If you had Beatles on there, that's probably copyright.
That might be what it is. It's really cool too because not only his artwork at the end, he had a rosary bead. He has like this red bead bracelet, a couple things, and he had them laid out on a picture, and that's there too. Like it's pretty. I was like impressed. First of all, his artwork is amazing, but I was hoping I could see the thread stuff.
Well, that's Manson. That's Manson. You can look that up.
Yeah,
he did some painting. He did some paintings too. They're awful, but he's done some paintings.
The paintings are apps and that's part of what's in this video. Like, oh my god, that dude, man, he did one of himself, but the face, it's
it's got his face in there.
Man, is it good?
Yeah, though that string art is really. He said it's. He invented the art form himself.
Oh, really?
So it's not like anything you've ever seen. It's kind of like, like you make a spider or something out of a pipe cleaner. Pipe cleaners.
Yeah, because he could do anything.
It's kind of like that, but it's all thread from a sock.
Jesus.
And where he just painstakingly, because he's got all this free time.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very carefully, meticulously wound.
Right.
And it's amazing. And he didn't make that many of them. And he sold some of them.
He did, people would write, they'd want them. He's like, I send some if I'm in the mood. If not, I don't want anything for it. He said it's something I enjoy.
Charlie will tell you that every time he tries to do something, they pass a law. And California passed a law when he started selling stuff that inmates can't sell stuff. So anytime he does something, or if it's inside the prison, he said, what did he say? Told Geraldo something like, if I stack shit 20 feet high over here, they'll tell me there's no stacking shit 20 feet high. They'll make a rule.
Wow.
Or something like that.
That's unbelievable. I have to find out who ended up with this stuff because I didn't get to the final article. It just was saying he has belongings worth up to $1 million. Appraisers were working on it at the time, but there was 4 or 5 people fighting for his stuff. I hope his grandson got it all.
Yeah, he's only got one verified son, and the guy that won that case was not his son.
No, and the grandson looks just like him. Have you seen him? Look, I'll send you the picture. It's Charlie reincarnated. He goes, I can get a buzz haircut. I could put a ski mask over my head, and I am recognized as they think I'm his son, and I have to say no.
Well, how about the son that he had with Mary Bruner?
Yeah.
Charlie delivered him himself and tied the umbilical cord off with a guitar string.
Oh my God. Really?
That's how badass Charlie Manson is.
Jesus.
Looking right. Those girls got books on midwifery and stuff, and they studied how to do it.
I have to look that up then. So that was on the child he had with Bruner?
Yeah, he was born at Spawn Ranch.
Oh wow.
Yep, he was born at one of those buildings at Spawn, and Charlie tied the cord off with a guitar string.
Jesus. So Matthew Roberts was the one trying to say he was one of his sons.
Yeah, that guy's full of shit.
That his mother was involved in an orgy with Manson in 1967, and she was sure he impregnated her. And then DNA in 2012 proved that he was not the father.
Right. I knew that guy wasn't.
Jesus.
There's just no way.
The grandson is, and the grandson is, maybe it's Bruner's kid, or who's the third child? So there's Valentine Michael Bruner, there's Charles Luther, he's the second child, and then the firstborn that killed himself was just Charles Manson. So it's either Charles Luther's kid, and he had that baby with his second wife, Leona Candy. And then Valentine Michael Bruner was the third child that he had with Bruner. So it's one. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, the grandson is him. It's a spitting image of him. Crazy hair and all.
Yeah, another thing that Manson never had he never really had long hair and a beard either. And he was telling, I think, it was Geraldo that, hey, I never had long hair and a beard till I got busted.
Mm.
And when I got into jail, then I said, hey, I want to shave, and they said no.
They said no?
They said no, you got to grow a beard and have your hair long, because that's how Bugliosi wanted him to look. He wanted him to look like this, something that he's not.
I wonder if that Bugliosi's dead.
Charlie will always say, that's not me, man. That's not me. And he's going, I'm not that guy with the beard and the long hair and shit.
They make him.
That's not me.
I mean, yeah, because they just make him look like a grub.
Because see, they got busted. Those murders, I think, were August 9th and 10th or something like that.
Yeah, 8th and 9th, it says they were at the Tate house, and then 10th was,
There was a raid at Spawn Ranch just weeks after that for the auto theft.
Mm-hmm.
And there's plenty of pictures of that raid. And you'll see Manson's clean shaven and his hair is not very long. He's not lying about that. He's clean shaven and his hair's not long. And then when he got in there, they told him, no, you got to look like this hippie guru. So you got to have, they didn't tell him that, but that's what they were doing. So you got to have this long hair and this long
Did they even let him have a suit? I got to look I got to look at all that. I mean, they gave the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, had custom-made suits made, and he'd walk in with sunglasses on. He had a fan club. It's weird how certain... I don't know.
That guy's pure evil, man.
Jesus. I'm more afraid of Ramirez than Charlie.
Do you know what year that Helter Skelter was released, the book?
Yeah.
I can remember I can remember when I was a real little kid, and the stores would have, like near the checkout, they'd have a spinning thing with paperbacks on it.
Right.
And that Helter Skelter, man.
Did it scare you?
I can remember it being there and wanting to look at the pictures. I knew it had those pictures in there.
1968 that was released.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I looked at, you know what, it gave me the song.
Yeah, you're looking at the album.
Let's see. And it wasn't, so somebody else also helped Vince write that book. Did he have like 2 lawyers, I wonder?
Oh, I didn't know. I thought he did it himself.
The book is like Vince and Craig something.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So the true story was published and released in 1974.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember it was just everywhere. You could get it everywhere. It was like a #1 bestseller and all that.
It still is. It remains to this day our country's #1 true crime novel.
Is that right?
To this day, yep.
And Manson said, once that trial started making money, you weren't going to stop it.
Wow. Well, he was right.
He said they'd have hung the president if they had to, because they weren't going to stop it once it started making money. And they just, you know how the public is and how people are, and they grabbed onto that helter-skelter narrative, and they were fascinated by it. But that's not what happened, though.
Yeah. No, true. Kirk Gentry. He was a writer, Kirk Gentry, and that's who helped Bugliosi write the book.
Yeah, it wasn't a big brainwashing, people walking around like zombies that are under control of some older man that's a hippie. It wasn't none of that.
Right.
It was a gang.
Mm.
It was a pimp.
Right.
It was a pimp and some chicks and some of his buddies.
Oh.
That's all it really was. It wasn't what they painted out to be. Very, very small time.
I wonder if he had siblings. Do you know if Charlie had siblings?
I don't believe he did.
Okay, I'll have to look for that. And his mother, that bitch, never even named. She put on his birth certificate, like no name man, like she was an evil person. She didn't even give him a name.
I forget what she put, but it was something like
I
that.
have it here. It would make you cry for him. I'm serious.
That's what I mean. The guy just that's why he'll try to tell you, look, I'm a product of the system. I never did anything. I always did what I was told. You told me to go here, I went here. You told me to go there, I went there. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, he had no.
I'm 10 years old, right? I'm 11 years old.
Doomed with a mother like that. It was hard that he was going to end up, you know.
And he even chased her once. He even ran away from one of those boys' homes and went over multiple states and tracked her down.
And tracked her down? Oh, really?
Yeah. And then he got rejected again by her.
There's nothing worse than a son being rejected like from his mother to really make you angry at the world, though, too.
Right.
Ugh. Yeah.
And then you have all these men that are all convicts that are shaping how you are as you're growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's real easy to see, you know.
I know. His first memory of his mother is going and see her at the state penitentiary. Like, oh, that's beautiful. His first memory. And she tried to be like, told him, like, well, I'm here because I was like going to kill that doctor because you needed surgery. So kind of already like showing him like that I'm not that bad. Yeah, so his birth certificate read no name Maddox. Isn't that awful?
Oh, that's right, Maddox.
Birth to him in 1934. She was only 16, though. No father was present. Oh, my God. And that is so sad.
Because his dad had gone back to England.
Yeah. She refused to give him a first name. And that, why? According to Maddox, she was waiting for her mother before she named the child. She said, I figured I'd already hurt her pretty hard, so I wanted to let her name my baby. So she named him after my father. So he's named after his grandfather.
Well, that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. That's terrible. No name Maddox. I didn't even think you could do that. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, it's guys, you know, you got to blame his mother for part of it.
Yes. I hate to say that, but yeah, you do. And what might be a story that makes her seem so not maternal? She sold her young son at one point for a pitcher of beer to a waitress at a local bar. According to Vincent, who seemed to be the one, he was retrieved then by an uncle several days later. Ugh. I don't know. I wish there was a better book. So this Helter Skelter, you know, I know it's written by the prosecutor. I wish there was a different book that maybe was more.
Oh, there's lots of them out there.
Like more truthful about him. Do you know, like what I mean? Do you know of any, or maybe?
Well, there's more. You just cited that Helter Skelter being number one, and I think I read once there's more books written about the Manson case than any other case.
All right,
there's dozens of them.
Okay.
Because
I'd rather a non-biased than anything, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to. I used to go to a website, and I can't remember the name of it either, but it was really unbiased.
Okay.
And sort of looked at it from a strictly forensic point of view.
That's what I'd like to. I would love that.
Yeah, and I can't think of the name of that, but I'll get it for you.
Okay, because I mean, this guy just, I don't know. I didn't get into it about the alarm clock, and that's how he bases a timeline, and he only had 3 witnesses, and I'm like, okay, I don't like any of that, but I figured I'd ask you first. So,
and there's interviews with him as well, with Vince. There's plenty of interviews. He loves to talk about the case, so there's interviews with him too.
Jesus, he's got to be up there, right?
Manson said that Vince is his mama's favorite boy. He crosses all his T's and dots all his I's and gets A's on all his papers. And
Oh my God, Josh. I'm so happy to know all this. Oh, okay. I'm going to look at it. Unbiased books. Perfect. Unbiased books on the Manson murders. Fantastic. I'm going to look at them, and then I'll come back on. What is today? Wednesday. I'll come on Friday so that we'll vote on it. But there's 6 of them that are non-biased, and they're all top selling. I'd rather do that because I don't want to pay any more attention to this Vince guy.
You can read. I mean, it's a. It's an interesting book nonetheless.
Yeah, oh, definitely. But
I mean, that's why it sold the way it did. But it's sensationalized, and it has very little to do with what actually happened. But that doesn't make it a shitty read.
No.
I haven't read it in years and years and years, but I have read it. But and then once I heard Manson calling bullshit on it, I was like, well.
Oh, this sounds good. It's called The Family by Ed Sanders.
Manson called bullshit. He called bullshit on Sanders a little bit.
We don't want him then.
But he did talk to the people.
Yeah, he said he meticulous.
And I gotta get this. I gotta see if I can find this guy's name because it's driving me crazy.
You'll find it, and I'll look too. Just
I'm
let
looking
me know.
right now.
Not a lot of them there. Chaos is one of the books. Like Chaos, it says Charles Manson, the CIA. In the 60s, then there's just The Family, The Girls, Manson, The Laughing Times of Charlie, and Member of the Family by Diane Lake. It's my story. Oh, she was with him. My story. Diane Lake is a memoir by one of his girls telling her story.
Yeah,
14.
Diane Lake's another one.
Yeah, we want a non-bias. See what we can find, okay? Because I know you'll find it. You'll find it if they're there, because I don't know. Not that I don't want to read Helter Skelter, but I would like to read something that's going to give us more of the reality of it all, and not just one side. All right, I'll mark that down. I marked a bunch of things down that I'm going to look about. He told me I want to see who replaced Manson's lawyer. I want to look at the Spawn Ranch thing. I want to know. There's a couple things. I wrote them all down though, because I'll never remember. Let me see what else you were telling me.
I got the guy's name.
Oh, you do?
It's Paul Watkins.
Okay.
And Paul Watkins had an interview in the 80s sometime with Larry King. And he talks a little bit about it because he got into this anti-cult like thing where he's trying to help people against anti-cult things. But he's the one, Paul Watkins, that Manson fed this story to. Out in the desert one night, Manson's just talking shit about this race war. And when he got interviewed by police and everything, of course, he tells them that this is what Manson said. That's where that comes from. A line of bullshit that Manson told Paul Watkins one night. And it doesn't have anything to do with anything. It was what Manson was trying to do was to coerce Watkins into staying out there.
Oh, wow.
Because Watkins was wanting to take off. Because like I said, he was out there at Barker Ranch with him.
And he does an interview with Larry King?
Yeah, years later, it's called. In a second, I'll tell you what it's called.
I'll find it on YouTube, I wonder, because I'll put it right on my community page. I love all these interviews. I got to find that Geraldo one, the full.
Paul Watkins CNN interview is all it's called, but there's other interviews with him.
Okay.
He was right there with the girls out on the sidewalk on the corner from outside the courthouse a bunch of times, and he ended up being a snitch because he's the one that told this Helter Skelter stuff, and then Manson threatened him after that. But before he was always
never to be seen again.
He was always on the good side until he did that.
Okay, so I got Paul Watkins CNN interview and then abandoned home of Paul Watkins. I don't want to see his abandoned home. I want the interview.
And then there's a channel that uses like, the old reel-to-reel tapes.
Mm-hmm.
It uses that as a thumbnail, and it has all the police interviews with everybody.
Who uses that?
I'll have to get the channel for you and get back with you.
Okay.
But there's, I don't know if the channel's still around. I assume it is. But it had all the, and some of them are kind of hard to hear and everything, but all the interviews, or almost all of them, with all these people when they got pulled in and questioned about Manson. And most of them don't know anything. They'll just tell you, look, we were just out there partying.
Yeah.
It's not like Manson is discussing all his criminal activities with everybody that's out there. You know what I mean?
I wanted to ask you, so I keep seeing like Charles Manson interview with Penny Daniels. Is that any good? Who's Penny Daniels?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, all right. So,
I believe that's the one where he told her if he was going to do something, I'd just pick up this book and beat you to death with it. I think that's Penny Daniels. He tells that. He comes out and she tries to say that he gives her a hard time at the beginning before they even start the interview, because he's wanting the tape of the interview or something to go to a friend of his.
Oh.
And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's got there's all this bullshit at the beginning.
Oh.
But yeah, I think that's the one. He said, if I was going to, I'd pick up this book and beat you to death with it, and I wouldn't even feel a thing.
Oh, wait. So YouTube it's the interview. It's Geraldo Rivera versus Charlie Manson interview. It's over an hour long. You think that might be it? Like the good one?
That's a good one. That's a very...
okay.
Yeah, that's... and like I said, if you'll hear Manson and you won't even get, what he's saying. Because it took me years to what the fuck is he even talking about? And you gotta dig really deep, and you go, oh, that's because like I said, he won't blame anybody. So you got to figure out, well, who's he talking about? Because he won't mention any names because he's so hardcore.
Wow.
That even 30 years later, and with no chance of getting out of prison, he still won't finger anybody for those crimes.
He's like
that he had.
He's one of the OGs. They don't make them like that anymore.
Yeah, see, all the others all blamed him.
Yeah.
He's the only one that never blamed them. He never blamed them.
No, you don't. You really don't hear him. He doesn't badmouth any of them.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
How he could do that, how he's not a snitch in any way, man.
For what a shitty life and just everything.
Yeah, he really...
I don't know. I think he got the shitty end of a shitty life and a shitty mother and just everything.
Yeah, he just kind of got one bad break after another. And then, like I said, these two clowns, Bobby and Tex, they dragged him into their nonsense.
Yeah.
And he's basically just trying to help.
Charlie, yeah.
He's basically trying to help them out the only way he knows how.
Right.
And, yeah. The Manson murders, they should be called the Watson murders.
Yeah,
Texas
I know. That does suck, though, that it's like the Manson murders, because that does just make you think it's all him.
Yeah, so Tex is the one that killed everybody. By his own admission. It's not like Tex denies it.
No,
Tex plays the game and says that when he comes up for parole, and you can watch all their parole hearings too. And when he comes up for parole, and he'll say, yes, I did that. He's very remorseful,
Yeah.
I'm very sorry, because he knows that's what he's supposed to say. And then he'll say that I only did it because it was Manson's fault. I was under his control. But the parole board never buys it, and they lock him back up again.
Geez, he has a lot of good interviews with Ron Reagan Jr. I mean, he's been with a lot of good.
That's a good one too. That
Oh, it
one with
is?
Ronald Reagan Jr. That's a good one.
Oh, okay, good.
They're all good to me. I like them all, but
I'm gonna put
that one.
All
He
right,
tells
I didn't know that. I didn't see Ron Reagan. I didn't see this one yet.
he tells some truth in that one too about what happened.
Hmm.
He'll say,
Yeah,
let
his
me
hair is
put it to
real
you like
short.
this.
Yeah, his hair was clean cut short. What happened? They really
Yeah.
made him look like a nut then.
When he's got a razor, he's all clean cut. See,
Jesus.
like when you saw him with Tom Snyder, they don't give you a razor in the nut ward, obviously,
Yeah.
because you might kill yourself. So he's got a beard and long hair.
Yeah, he looked terrible with that.
And they wouldn't give him a razor in 1970. And so when he went to trial, he had beard and long hair.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not a generation of the Beatles. I'm a generation of Bing Crosby.
He does say that. He's like Frank Sinatra. Like he starts saying all the
Yeah.
I'd sad. Yeah. I'm like, that's so sad.
He's like, I'm Bing Crosby, man. I'm not Beatles.
Yeah, he got the shitty. Well, it is what it is. I hope.
It's hard to tell people, that hey, Charles Manson's not as bad as what you think. They'll never believe you.
No, I know.
They go with they'll think you're nuts. They'll think you're crazy. They think you're lost your mind.
I have to be careful when I talk about Ted Kaczynski.
Ted Kaczynski's another guy.
I know. Yeah. I'm like I don't want to sound like a Kaczynski sympathizer, but because not for what he did, but I'm a sympathizer for what he was trying to tell us, which is like your technical world is going to really fuck everything up, and look at where we are.
His manifesto is amazing.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
Somebody read that online. I've listened to it a couple of times.
Yeah, you know what? I'll read it. Well, they'll probably ban me, but I'll read it. It's incredible. I mean, the dude is a Harvard genius, but God bless his soul.
Yeah, that guy there was.
Yeah, that isolation is what did him in. But man, he saw what was coming.
Yeah, he's kind of like, he had the same sort of intentions as Squeaky Fromm, and that you're just trying to draw attention to something.
Mm-hmm. It's like no one's gonna. It's what are we waiting for, the day when we don't even have to say hello to each other? Yeah, look where we're at. We don't. Well, we could be right across the room from each other, and we'd rather text hello.
I know, isn't that unbelievable?
Yeah, I feel, I don't know, Ted. That's a sad one for me.
That you don't even make contact with you when somebody delivers you a pizza. They just leave it on your door anymore.
Yeah, I'll get it. Just leave it there. I'll keep checking. I don't want to have to say hello or goodbye. He's like, no one's going to ride bikes anymore. Like, it's sad. I could cry for Ted. I could.
Yeah, he's another one that...
Not for the way he implemented his mission, but his heart was in the right place for what he was concerned about, but he was just so demented with all that, being so isolated.
He had a mental illness, obviously.
Yeah, he did.
He was a smart guy, and he was in tune with what was going on.
Yeah.
But he had a mental illness that caused him whatever kind of mental illness it was. I don't know, but obviously he's not well. Or you don't.
I would love to know what they ever deemed him as. God. I'd love to go. His house is still here in Virginia. Like, they're not that's where it's going to stay. I would have loved to see them when they literally took those bomber jets and lifted it out of the ground and flew it from Lincoln, Nebraska in the air, just dangling by cable wires to Virginia. And that's where it stays. And it's not even in a museum.
You talking about that shack he was living in?
Yeah. They literally picked it up with cable wires with one or two fighter, jets, and they lifted it.
Why did they move it to Virginia?
We're Quantico, right to Quantico, and an undisclosed warehouse where they investigated every inch of it.
Oh,
and his brother, they don't want it. The family doesn't want it, and it's not on display yet. But I'm like, they should put it on display.
Or somebody would buy it and put it in one of those museum type things.
I mean, it was so tiny. I remember how tiny it was.
Yeah, and he'd go to the library and get all these books, sit around and read.
Mm-hmm.
And Manson claimed he never read a book in his life, but he read before he got out in '67, when he was in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody mentioned, I think maybe you did, about the Scientology.
Yep. Yeah.
And I believe that Manson was reading books then, and he read some stuff about Scientology.
Yeah,
because he knew about it, and he knew of somebody that was high up in that also.
He did. I wrote it down because I was like, I didn't know that about him. I'm like, I hadn't heard that, but there's so much that you're not.
Yeah, he claims he never read a book. He said
really?
he doesn't want. He said, I got my own thoughts, and I don't want them polluted with somebody else's, some other man's thoughts. I got my own thoughts.
Well, I mean,
so I don't know how you learn about chemistry if you don't read a book about chemistry, but
right.
Whatever.
I could see old Charlie hanging out with Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, he's not a.
I don't know what his thoughts would be on the whole Scientology aspects of when we die, and.
Well, he tells Geraldo that the good God and the devil are just names for good and evil. That's just what we call it. There's good and evil in this world. You might call it God, Satan, or whatever, but it's just good and evil. I don't think he's any religion.
Yeah,
I don't think
he's not. Yeah.
Sometimes he'll claim
he says it right here. He carefully studied religion as a tool of control and manipulation, mainly Scientology, along with social engineering. He sought the advice as well as advice from pimps and career criminals.
Yeah, I don't know about that carefully studying stuff. There's no evidence that he did that.
He gave him a once over.
But he did one of the last pieces of advice he got when he got out in '67 was the guy was getting out and was leaving and told Manson when he left, sincerity's the best trick. And Manson said, really, just tell him the truth? He said, yeah, that's sincerity's the best bet, man. That's the best con game there is.
Oh, wow.
And so that's where he got this I just tell the truth stuff.
And he tells them, some people don't, they're like, he's lying, but he's really not.
Well, yeah, he doesn't out and out lie. Not that I've ever just caught him just in a bald-faced lie, but he will avoid frickin' telling you the direct answer, though. He's like a little kid with that stuff, man.
He does get, and it's almost, he definitely has that ADD aspect. He's all over the place, you know? He's going from talking and saying things that I'm real interested in, and then all of a sudden he's doing like the googly eyes and the eyebrow up, and then he's making me nervous, and I'm you're killing me.
Now look, when he does that stuff, and you'll see him making all the faces, like he'll make all these faces in a row, you know. That goes back to Spawn Ranch, because all they had was the little TV. And they'd sit around and make faces at each other.
Jeez,
that's why he does that.
At it. Yeah, he's good at it.
And then sometimes he'll go, he'll be talking about somebody and he'll go, bees, 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 buzz, 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 bees, bees.
Yes.
Kind of like blah, blah, blah.
Did he do that with Diane Sawyer?
He did it with,
who was it
with Geraldo, I know.
Oh my God. It was like crazy at its best.
That's more just Spawn Ranch stuff. That they used to do. I think it was Leslie that said that he would come up to you and start making those faces, and you were supposed to try to keep up with him.
Oh, Jesus, that would be hard.
And so you'd say he'd make a sad face, you sad and happy and then angry and funny. And, you know, he can really contort his face into these.
Yeah, he could.
These different expressions. But that's what and he'll pull that out during an interview. And everybody goes, well, this guy's freaking nuts. But if you notice, it'll be when you mention Spawn Ranch or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's just
I'll have to look at that because I never noticed when it is, but when it happens, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
oh God, I'm gonna get a twitch.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with being crazy or anything.
Yeah.
It's just something they did to pass the time at Spawn Ranch.
You got to find things to do.
Yeah, besides screw all the time. That was the other thing. Manson says he could come 10 times a day.
That's in the movie. What's the movie?
Is it really?
It's a, oh God. Well, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Because it's a lot of sex, and it's also a lot of sex with the blind guy. Somebody's always having to go in and service that poor blind Spawn guy. I'm like, oh God. Meanwhile, the dude's like in a one-room shack. There's flies. It's filthy. But, one of the girls, there's always somebody there servicing them.
Yeah, that may be.
Kind of like a fight. Not a fight, but like who was going to sleep with Charlie tonight. Like, that was a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know how much that's true and how much isn't. The girls don't.
It was an interesting movie just because it was a different take at the end. I didn't think I was going to like it, but I did enjoy seeing just how violent they took it out on all of the people that killed, that actually did the killings. It was like, ooh, vengeance. Like, not that it helps, but it was like, okay, I wasn't going to watch the movie. And people were like, no, watch it. You'll see at the end what Quentin, he's trying to, I don't know, bring closure for the family. I can't see it bringing closure for the family, but I did in my mind enjoy thinking like that. Oh God, if only the tables were turned and those son of a bitches got everything they deserved. It was really violent at the end, but it was everything that they should have deserved.
Yeah, I don't think any of those victims really died peacefully, with the exception of maybe Jay Sebring. Or maybe Steve Barrett, the guy in the car, the kid in the car.
Oh, the kid in the car.
He got shot in the face. He died instantly. And I think Jay Sebring, I think, got shot in the head or something. So he may have died instantly too. But the rest, man, they were getting stabbed. And, you got to bleed to death when you get stabbed. So that takes a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't know that was in the movie, the murder and all that.
I'm going to bed. All right. I'm gonna look at all that stuff. I put so far in the community tab one or two of the interviews that we just talked about, and then I'll email you, John, see if we can come up with a better book just to start with, maybe something more unbiased. And if you come up with anything else, just email me and we'll figure it out.
I sure will.
All right. And thank you so much because you are the best with this. I'm so happy you were able to make it tonight and everybody here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And we'll still read Helter Skelter eventually, but I would like to start maybe the first book we read on this whole Manson ordeal, maybe a little bit less biased towards just it all being Charlie. So we'll see if what we can find, and we'll take it from there.
You know what? There's a German guy that wrote a book. He also interviewed Manson, and he may be the guy that you're looking for with the sort of unbiased take on the whole thing. Oh, really? And I'll have to get his name for you too.
Okay.
I can't.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
There's a terrible interview with the audio is real bad. You can't hear it. What's the guy's name? Shrek or something like that is the guy's name. Yeah, I'll get that book title for you.
See what you could find, and then get back to me, and we'll do another live.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Johnny. Love you so much, and thank you for all your help.
Well, I love you too, and thanks everybody for showing up. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll do it again soon.
We will. Good night, John. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody that's here in chat, and all your good comments. And like I said, I posted a couple of the interviews, and if you guys have anything you want to email me, or any books or anything that you know of that are unbiased that we can start with, I would appreciate that. Other than that, have a great night. And today's Wednesday, so I'll probably see you guys then Friday. All right. Be safe and love you all. Good night.